Welcome back to the World Series of Board Gaming 2024. I'm Tom Vassell.
And I'm Camilla.
Yes, this is the third year, and this is the third championship game. Well, we'll just spoil it now. The game, actually...
No?
We'll tell you in a second. Well, you know what you're going to see anyway.
Yeah, let's talk about the players first.
There's a lot of things going on. They're starting to play the game right now, but you'll have plenty of time to see it in a second. There has been 16 ring events that have been narrowed down to 4 people. Those 4 people are playing a final game, and I think we're just gonna jump into this and introduce those people to you right now.
All right, first up in our first seat, we have James Lau coming here from Santa Clara, California. He was the Cascadia champion, which won him a seat in that top 16, and then he just recently, not too long ago, about 30 minutes ago, won Terraforming Mars to have a seat in this round.
Then in seat 2, we have Jukka Otonen, and Jukka, this is his 3rd year coming here from Sweden. He finished and won the Brass Birmingham. This is actually the 2nd time he's won Brass Birmingham, and this time he got here by beating a very hard-fought game of Ark Nova.
In seat 3, we have Jun Kim coming from San Diego, California. He qualified for, again, the top 16 there with Castles of Burgundy as the champion of that, and then won Wingspan this morning in order to have a seat here at this table as well.
And then finally, in the 4th seat, we have Alan Chow, who is brand new here from Brooklyn, New York, and our Azul champion. And then you just saw him if you watched it live streaming Raw. Speaking of live streaming, if you're watching, we want to say hi, especially if you're watching right like 100 feet away. Hello, everyone who's watching here at the World Series of Board Gaming itself. Now, the final game, how is that chosen? Well, we can go into long detail about it, but instead of that, we just recorded a bit of it, and we're going to show it to you now. Or now.
Let's go play Dune Imperium.
That's right, the final game is Dune Imperium. Games that were eliminated. Ticket to Ride was vetoed, and many other games are out. It was down to just 4 games, and it's a Dune Imperium, so we're going to be playing that. So there's one of the things that's really cool here about the World Series of Board Game is lots of board game designers have shown up. And while I am known as the best Dune Imperium player in the Vassal household, mostly because my family has never played it, I am not the world's foremost authority. So to that, I'm going to be passing duties over to the designer of the game, Paul Denon, who is here. So he's going to show up in a few minutes to join Camilla to talk about the game. They've picked their starting factions. They're getting started. But before we get into the game, take a look at this. Or this.
Arrakis, Dune, the desert planet. Experience the award-winning strategy of Dune Imperium as never before. Take board game battles online with friends or hone your tactics against clever AI opponents. Unique challenges test your ability to adapt and survive. Control the spice. Control the universe in Dune Imperium.
All right, here we go. Taking a look at the board as it is now. They're still in the first round here. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, World Series of Board Gaming. I feel privileged to be invited to be here, and just like happy and lucky that Dune got picked for the final game.
This is really exciting to have you here and kind of get that insider information. So if you have questions, join us in the chat here and let us know. I'm sure Paul here will be happy to help answer those questions and give that insight.
There you go.
So do you want to real quick run through what the leaders are that they've chosen?
Sure. I'm starting to get my bearings about who is who. Like, where's James?
So if you look right here,
Okay.
James,
Okay,
that's
thank you.
first player, second, third, fourth,
Okay, great.
and they're written in order on there.
Okay, so James in seat 1 ended up with Count Ilban Richizi. And I guess he picked last. So, like, seat
Correct.
4 probably picked first.
Yes.
So let me start with seat 4 then. Seat 4, interestingly, Alan picked Helena Richizi. So we have like a Richizi war here going on, like two
Yeah.
Richizi leaders. Helena in seat 4 makes a lot of sense because she has the signet ring that can kind of take a card out of the Imperium row and reserve it just for her.
Okay.
So if there's a really powerful card up there in the row, maybe they picked Helena to kind of get that first before anybody else could.
That makes a lot of sense. We've definitely seen that play style in some of the other games that we've seen leading up to this.
And, yeah, we'll talk
Players
about
like
the row
the control of that.
a little later. And then so Helena was chosen first. Seat
In seat
3,
3, we have June.
June, the Beast, good pick, just versatile leader. He's good at combat. Starts with some resources, very strong leader. And Baron Harkonnen in seat 2, picked by Yuka.
But by Yuka, yes.
So it's a Harkonnen versus Richizi final. Wow, two Harkonnens and two Richizis. The Baron is kind of notorious, like a very strong leader in this game because he can suddenly unleash a master stroke of troops into the battlefield and then go up on 2 different faction tracks all of a sudden. So very powerful political leader, scheming.
Who would you have chosen for yourself in this?
Well, I'd need to look at the... Oh, I see why my baby Helena was chosen. The Kwisatz Haderach is on the row. It's arguably the strongest card you could possibly start with. So this is probably a gambit to try to go for the Kwisatz Haderach because I wouldn't have chosen Helena, but I understand the pick now that I can see that card on the row. There it is.
We see that card.
Yeah, it lets you draw a card and you can send one of your agents from anywhere to anywhere. So it's like it gives you an extra turn, basically, because you can place an agent onto the board, then on a future turn in this round, play Kwisatz Haderach and take that agent and put it on another worker space.
That's a huge advantage,
Yeah.
especially at this level of competition, having that extra turn.
Yep.
If you can pull it off at those opportune moments.
Yeah, if we somehow see a round 1 Kwisatz Haderach acquisition, I think the other players at the table almost have to target that player and almost start blocking them in
Kind of,
other
go
ways.
with more blocking mechanisms.
The problem is Helena almost can't be blocked in some ways. She has an ability that lets her get in on a pentagon or circle space, even if an opponent is there. So the blocking would, in this world, be more about a combat blocking, stopping her from winning particular combats. But we'll see. It's really hard to pull off a round 1 Kwisatz Haderach, even if you pick Helena. She has to get her signet ring. She has to pull the right cards, like 2 convincing arguments and not certain, daggers and things. So we'll see.
Interesting.
We can't see their hands, right?
They can pull the cards as they and show us their hands if there's someone specific you're looking at. Are you wanting to look at Alan with the?
I was just curious
Helena?
about the possibility of that happening. And
Okay.
I'm still getting my bearings with the
Yeah.
screen and trying to
That's
figure out what I'm seeing here. So it looks
Yeah, behind the
like-
cameras, they are frantically trying to assemble the hands for us so they can give us all that information. But jumping at the start of the game here, it's a lot of behind-the-scenes work still
Right.
happening. So we'll get there.
It's third in round 1.
Okay, I'll move over. Right here.
And they've played a couple cards each, it looks like. Or are they in round 2?
See, I'll have to wait for that information. I got a little thrown off from where we came in.
I'm seeing agents. I'm seeing an agent on the deep desert already. The one that somebody must have went to get water and then immediately wanted 3 spice. I wonder why.
Anything else?
It's the Baron. That's an unusual opening for the Baron because the Baron usually wants to hang on to their water to be ready to trigger that Master Stroke, because the easiest way to trigger Master Stroke is to go to Hardy Warriors, and it requires a water.
I'll reveal for 4 here.
Okay, they're revealing. Piter is a strong 5-cost card.
There's that card you were just talking about, the Peter, sorry.
And
That was James there who was revealing, so
Everybody? Alright, next player, no cards. You're the one with an intrigue card. Not in the conflict, I'm assuming you're not playing it. Alright, so Luca, yellow gets a victory point.
Yeah, you
Alright.
take the card.
so the Baron wins this
Oh, here,
Oh, right. Okay.
battle,
and that's Yuka there.
you get intrigue card.
wins a point, a victory
One
point,
conflict, right?
but
And
at what cost, I would ask, because the Baron is left with no troops, no water.
Let's do the spice first.
They jump ahead, obviously, with the victory point, but they didn't get resources. Like early in the game, getting that like second place on this particular
Alright, now
conflict
everybody
can be
recall their agents.
really strong because
Enough
you
to
get the
stay
Solari. It's more like you're making an investment for like a burst of points later, because
Okay,
Dune
yeah.
is a race to 10 points essentially, and jumping out ahead first can be good, but gathering resources can be better.
Right, it can stunt you in the next round or two as you are trying to build up after the fact.
Pass that over there, yeah, to show the.
That's the start. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then we
That's
pass the
good.
card from there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, do you already? Do
But
you
this
have
is my
five?
start.
It looks-
That's fine. Then you don't need to shuffle yet.
Oh, the Siege of
Uh,
Carthage is
in
up
case
for the
in case
second
I-
conflict. This is a strong
you-
conflict to win because you not only get a victory point, but you get
Oh,
control
leave
of
it- leave this
Carthage,
in your
which is one of the board spaces, which will then pay you back in Solaria as people visit it, including yourself.
Especially this early in the game here to have
Exactly.
that passive.
The earlier you get control of the
Right.
place, the better.
Yeah. So is that your discard pile there?
this is-
Okay. All right, just check.
The Beast looks like he's sitting on a lot of, and I'm sorry, I'm using
The big
leader names, not playerlet names, because it's hard for me to remember.
That's okay.
who's
The beast
playing.
is June, so we're looking at the top left on that.
Yeah.
So-
So June looks like he's sitting on a lot of Solari there. If I had to guess, it looks like he's got enough for a Swordmaster. Yeah, I'm told yes. He's got enough for a Swordmaster. So the Beast is probably going to take Swordmaster this round unless he had a very unlucky draw.
Lift card. All right.
That's Yuka wrapping up his turn and then passing it to June, who you were just talking about.
Yeah.
So let's see.
So Yuka went and traded in Spice, which does explain why he wanted the Spice, because he converted it to Solari. Unfortunately, he's getting blocked by the Beast. The Beast is getting the Swordmaster first, so Yuka's going to have to wait till next round. Now, what is Alan going to do?
Again, Alan is Helena, who you were talking of earlier.
Yeah.
That interesting choice of leader.
Yeah, we'll see. I obviously missed whether Helena played the Signet Ring in the first round or not. Are we going to see a Signet Ring this round?
Are we able to see Alan's hand? Do we have that information? Of course, I ask right as he puts it down.
Please. Into the play area.
They're a little ahead of me.
Okay, it looks like Alan played the Signet Ring. And which card did he reserve? Am I wrong? Did he not play the Signet Ring? Because if he played the Signet Ring, he must reserve a card.
I'm not sure. Now we're
And he would want to reserve a
back
card.
to James. Yeah. We're at James now, who is
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking
Count Ilban.
Ilban. Okay, I was like, my pronunciation's not gonna match here. Let's see, Count.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay, we're actually
Oh,
going
are they going back?
You have to ask the table. You've already passed the card.
Oh, there's rules.
I'm fine with it now. Maybe next time. Yeah. But up to you guys.
There's rules about passing the card, and if you didn't do a mandatory action, you miss it.
Right, correct.
It's already fast.
It's fine.
And this is how
Yeah,
I've been playing
yeah,
too so
yeah,
far.
yeah,
Yeah, keep that
Okay,
card
so-
in front, please, up here in the play area.
Yes, looks like he did not do something, so it was up to the players if they allow
Can I
the
see your
turn to
leader?
go back since he had passed the card, and the ruling was, no, one of the players was not comfortable with it, so it is a lost opportunity
Yeah.
for Alan there.
Too bad.
Yep.
You're correct. It is not an optional ability, and I think it was fast enough. I understand.
Okay.
If he had already started to place an agent, then yeah, I would stick him to him. So go ahead and reserve a card.
Okay,
Thank you.
and they're going back on that again, allowing him, because it is not an
But really,
optional,
that
it is compulsory. You have to do that, as you were saying there, Paul. So they're saying it's actually
No offense,
Yeah,
but
something
this
that they
is-
have to
I-
take it back
I-
and
I
do
know,
allow
I know.
him to do.
Yeah.
So he has now reserved the card.
Let's get this away. Let's put it here, show that it's reserved. Okay?
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Straighten these up a little bit. And yeah, your
And we
signet ring, can you move it up front just so we're clear on what's
you
in
go.
play?
Maybe here.
Since we're on
So one thing
camera.
they do here at the World Series Board Gaming, that if you've
All right,
watched
we'll
any of
get
the
this-
streams,
we'll
you've
get
seen
this.
is they make these,
Okay.
they're not player aids, but player area kind of charts, and
Everybody
that's to
okay with
keep
that
it
resolution?
organized so you can
All
see at all time. Where's
go.
the draw pile, where's your discard pile, your played pile, what are their current resources on the boards, things like that. And so that's what we see the judge here doing, is just asking for a little bit of cleanup to make it visually very clear what's going on and what's in play versus what's in discard, those things. So a little bit of cleanup to get us back on track here. And now it has officially passed to James's turn.
That's nice. What's this?
James grabs the bonus spice at the Imperial Basin. So 2 spice for no water. It's a pretty good deal.
Mm-hmm.
And James has the most troops in his garrison, but he only chooses to put 1 in.
One slide from my signature.
I'm holding onto the card a little bit longer this time. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, hold on.
Make sure.
Let's not do this again. But he did officially pass it to Yuka.
A lot of rings.
Yeah, Count Ilban, in addition to Helena, is very good at acquiring cards. Partly because Count Ilban can draw extra cards when he spends Solari at the Landsrad. So it's possible that we could see like a dagger play to the Mentat. And you can see his
Okay.
Ruthless Negotiator would kick in. The Mentat lets you draw a card and play an extra agent. Ruthless Negotiator kicks in and you draw another card. So Ilban can suddenly burst up in his persuasion. So he might be really happy that Helena didn't reserve the Kwisatz Haderach because it's possible he could have a hand that he's going for it.
Especially if he's seeing that powerful connection with Helena, as you were talking about getting back into that blocking and trying to.
Yeah, I mean, anybody would just be super happy to get the Kwisatz Haderach in general. Most leaders don't have the innate talent to get there very quickly. Like Paul Atreides does, because Paul Atreides' signet draws an extra card, but nobody is Paul. Looks like the Baron went to the Hall of Oratory. Beast pushed 2 troops. That's useful. The row is looking pretty mediocre outside of Kwisatz Haderach right now. Alan, with his signet reserved, a pretty good 2-cost card.
Was it your discard pile? The fold space card?
Yeah.
No, the one you put in your hand. It goes in your discard pile. Okay. All right.
I'll give it to him.
Okay, and you can give that to me. Thank you. And we'll move you up here.
Again, cleaning the play area up here. I don't know if Alan is maybe not super familiar with the layout, but he seems to be struggling a little bit with that.
Yeah. Like, I give a ton of respect to these players for like having to like have the knowledge across all these games. So, you know, maybe Alan is going to need a little bit of luck here to get back into
Possible.
this game. We'll see.
And some of them, depending on what they qualified for right before this, Yuka, for example, came in for Arc Nova. He had about 3 minutes to go pull the chip, about 2 minutes to scarf down a piece of pizza, and he's sitting back down.
Wow.
So, I mean, it could be a really quick turnaround, back-to-back games for these people, for these players.
Yeah, back-to-back playing Terraforming Mars into Dune Imperium or Arc Nova into Dune Imperium. That's a pretty intense day.
Or just the flexibility of mindset coming from like Raw.
Right.
You know, if you're doing something like Raw, then you're like, okay, let me completely switch gears mentally and get ready for Dune Imperium.
What would you prefer? Would you prefer to do like an intense game into an intense game, or less intense with a longer break while the other people finish their game? Is it better to just stay with it, stay into the in the intense zone, or?
I think I would rather the switch, and I would definitely want to start with light and go to heavy, but I would not want to have done something like Arc Nova and then go into like Splendor or something like that. I think that I would not be able to flex that way very well.
Yeah, when I was younger, I could like do intense games all day, but
no.
Now, at my age now, it's more like I take the hour break if I could get one.
I need more than 2 minutes to eat my pizza. So bring us back here. It looks like we are on June. He's thinking intensely.
So we're showing Cariel. Is that what June picked up? Okay.
Okay. Yuka purchased. So that card that's up there right now is the one that Yuka, the previous player,
Yuka picked it up.
purchased.
That's a high variance card, kind of like if you draw it at the right time and you can get a big haul of spice, it can be very good.
Okay, actually, no. Okay, I'll ask later. Yeah.
It's good to see them kind of loosening up a little bit. These tables seem to be a little more loose than the qualifying one that was just a couple hours ago. Still there with June.
So June's got the Swordmaster, so June gets to play an extra agent, and I guess is deciding where to play it. Looks like Diplomacy is being played. Some of them are putting their agents
Green gets bigger.
orthogonal to the camera, and some are like standing up. So I see yellow is orthogonal.
Ah, yes. Did not adjust
Okay, that's
that.
a play to Hardy Warriors.
At this point, we'll just take a moment to, I guess, kind of explain how it works here. At this point, they've all won money. They're all walking away with something. Of course, they're fighting for that Grand Master Champion, of the World Series of Board Gaming here. But the fourth place player will get 1,000. The third will get 5, and then to 10, and then the champion will get $25,000. So at this point, they're all walking away with something.
Because of this. Well, it doesn't matter. This card.
Okay.
Ellen took the card that he reserved. It's a guild card that can also trash cards.
And grabs.
Bond just took. I missed it. Thank you for showing us Shifting Allegiances. Wow. It's a strong card.
And that was taken by
By James. So James has Piter and Shifting Allegiances. That's a pretty good start.
All right. So let's move to combat. Active player is Yuka. Now in. Okay. You like to play? Oh, I'm sorry. You haven't revealed. Forgot you got your Swordmaster already. So green is in the
Another
conflict.
revealing.
Green one up. Thank you. What a liaison. All right. So you don't want to play entry card?
I'm good.
Okay. So
Okay.
let's give green a victory point.
June is,
All right.
June is pretty happy with this result.
Very much so. Another point.
June got his Swordmaster this round and won the Battle for Carthage, which
One conflict. Yep, got him. Okay, let's do the spice real quick. Let's put one on here and here. Okay, now get your agents. There we go. There's another one there. Yep. And here you go, Alan. Yep, you need shuffle. While you're shuffling. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Fighting for Arakim. So here next year you get to use sandworms. Gonna go to Uprising.
so we're going to a new round.
Looking sandworms.
And also,
You are correct.
a new co-host. That's right, surprise. Camilla has turned into me. Paula Deming. Not to be confused with Paul Denon.
Right. Our names are so close.
Yeah.
Al, go ahead and grab your agents.
Thank you. I'm excited to jump in on a little bit of this final game of Dune Imperium with you. You know, obviously the designer, I've really enjoyed listening up to this point. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what these players do. I actually came in, I have a question. So we just saw one of the
You do it one
players
time. Yeah.
grab a Swordmaster, right?
Yep.
Now,
So one
in
go.
terms of getting a Swordmaster, how early do you feel like players
Oh, I see what you're saying.
should
I
be
see what you're
trying to
I
get
thought you
that
meant you have
extra?
to reveal each one.
I think round 2 is
No, I
You
think
have to reel
he's
them
asked.
a
he's asked-
fast
you gotta
and
send
fine
forward and
time to get a
the whole round.
Swordmaster, especially in base Dune Imperium.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how he got it because we missed like the first turn of the game.
Sure.
Probably
It's gotta happen during the
went to like Haga Basin to get spice and then converted
Can't
it.
be two this turn.
The beast has an advantage. So June, the top left player, playing the beast, started with a spice and a solari. So the beast gives you a jump because you can then convert your spice with a sail in the Chom area to
Right.
get enough solari on round 2 to just get a Swordmaster.
I wonder now if any of the other players will feel pressure to also try and get theirs quickly, try and be able to keep up with the
Yeah.
basically the action. You know, he's got an extra action. He can
Yeah,
do.
I would feel pressured.
Yeah, I would want to get it immediately.
Yeah,
So
you-
I'm curious to see who will kind of really gun for that first now.
Yuka is sitting on at least 7 Solari from what I'm seeing, so one short of getting one. I don't think the other players have close to 8.
Yeah, I'm looking here. James, I believe, looks like he's only got 2.
Right.
And it's hard to tell maybe what Alan has. Maybe they're next to his. Oh, my favorite thing. We've got the card cam. Looking there, I think at Alan's hand, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Yes.
He has a signet ring, he's got the guild administrator. I don't know how many convincing arguments he has. I mean, he still has a chance of getting the Kwisatz Haderach if he can line things up right.
So here's something interesting. We talked over a bit, but Yuka, the chatter that was just happening at the table, Yuka was just asking for some clarification on the Baron's power. Now that's his leader. And that makes me wonder, is this a game he would, how excited was he? Now, he didn't veto Dune Imperium, so he felt okay enough to dive into it, but, needing clarification on your leader's power, is that, maybe that's a bluff. Maybe that's intimidation tactic.
That would be pretty screwed.
Trying to get everyone else to, relax. Oh, Yuga,
That's
he's
something
unsure,
the Baron would do.
but maybe he's role-playing
He's role-playing it,
I
yeah.
like it.
Trash the dagger.
It looks like Alan is trashing his dagger.
Yeah, so he played the Guild Administrator, which is that card he reserved and then picked up. It's a strong 2-cost card. It's good to get anything that trashes cards early in the game is magnified in its power.
Thin out that deck, so you can start pulling your better cards, obviously, sooner.
Yep. His only problem is he doesn't have any great cards. As Helena,
Right.
you really want to pick up something strong, and he's I think struggling to get a good card.
I'm seeing chat kind of wonder too, is maybe Alan is showing a little bit of an experience with the game. You only get to veto one game. And if there's multiples that you're feeling unsure about,
Yeah.
you got to pick one.
Yeah, this event is it's kind of crazy to me. I'm not nearly that good at that many games, so
I could never do it.
So much respect for these players.
Okay, I'm hearing it. Alan did say he felt okay. He felt good going into Dune. Playing under this high pressure kind of scenario, sometimes that can have an effect on the choices that you're making.
Yeah. So James, I think, is contemplating what he wants to do. I feel like James has done the best at deck building so far,
And we can
which
see
is
his hand there, yeah.
not unsurprising with Count Ilban, but he's, where does he go from here? Ilban needs to go to the Mentat a lot.
Head over to selective reading.
Yeah, I've been wondering when people are going to start trying to
I'll put right up
go to the Mentat. I don't think we've seen that yet in the game, right?
Yeah, typically it's not a great play early,
Yeah.
but Ilban is an exception because he gets that extra
The
card
extra
draw when
card,
he spends
yes.
money. So he went to, this is a pretty early selective breeding play. So he spent 2 spice. He got his first point with the Bene Gesserit, which is good. And he's trashing a card and drawing 2. This could be he's setting up to try to get the Kwisatz Haderach by drawing 2. He probably trashed the dagger. I don't know. We kind of missed it, or I missed it. If he trashes a dagger, if he has the money for Mentat, so if he can still follow this up for Mentat, he could get the Kwisatz Haderach.
I feel like that would be a strong move. Do we know, I don't know if our team saw what he trashed or not. If so, nope, we don't know, but that's okay. We don't need to know. It's more exciting that way.
We can see from the camera that he's holding Piter, and Piter reveals for 3 persuasion, which is, the most you can get pretty much from a basic card. And my eyes aren't good enough to see his other cards.
Yeah. Right, you guys.
All right, where did Yuka go?
Turn. We were too busy talking about James.
Okay.
Sorry, Yuka.
Yuka made a simple play. He played his Signet Ring to secure contract, got 3 Solari, and presumably spent 1 immediately to draw an intrigue card, because that's what the Baron does with the Baron's Signet Ring.
Right. He's still sitting with a lot of cash there.
Yeah, I would think his next play is Swordmaster.
Yeah.
So that's a
He's
pretty
saving
strong
up for
play.
it.
Get the money for Swordmaster, get an intrigue card. His only problem will be if he doesn't have a dagger, because he needed to use his Signet Ring for that play.
Right now, I think June is contemplating, that's the word, contemplating what he wants to do there.
Dagger 2, okay. All of Oratory gets a troop and extra persuasion.
Puts puts, 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 right now, Alan is the only one with a troop out in the conflict, but see if anyone moves out in there to challenge.
Yeah, yet another point for the conflict. This is a bit unusual that you see the first 3 conflicts
All have
each giving you a
points.
point. Yeah.
Also, a quick shout out. I'm not sure if it was mentioned already, and if so, then it deserves to be mentioned again. A quick shout out to the judge of this game, Josh Swartz, who is there. You know, we've already seen him in action, you know, earlier on, helping to adjudicate, oh, I passed the card, but I still need to do this. What do I do? You know, we've got that judge there really making sure everyone feels like the game is fair, everything's being tracked, and that is its own kind of high pressure job to have. So lots of respect for Josh.
Absolutely.
There you go.
It's like, did they pick up Duncan, Idaho there?
Reserved with the
Reserved
signet
it.
ring.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
So hopefully the Momoa fans will get to see the Momoa action in this game. So I'm really curious to see here if James is going to go to Mentat and go for the Kwisatz Haderach. I'm trying to sneak a peek at his hand. He does have a dagger for sure.
Garrison, that's the word.
He does have a convincing argument also, so he is in position where he could go for it.
Heavy contemplation.
Yeah, it's a tough choice because whenever you have Piter also gives you an intrigue card when you play him. So to reveal Piter is great because of 3 persuasion and a sword, but like you turn down an intrigue card on the way.
Right. And that can, because those intrigue cards can really save your butt sometimes in this game.
Exactly. Yeah, they can win
yeah.
games. I mean, the Baron, that's his strength, right? Like the Baron may look weak here, but who knows what intrigue cards he's been picking up with the signet ring. Looks like a dagger play. Looks like a Mentat.
Oh, it's like he made the choice, and now he's not sure that is the choice he wants to make.
Yeah. I mean, if he's playing a dagger, the only play right now is Mentat.
Okay, play dagger, spend 2 to go to Mentat.
Yeah,
Yep.
there you go. Called it. Get that, yep.
The Mentat is my favorite board space in the game.
Yes,
so.
really.
Like-
I was just reading a thread on BGG where on Board Game Geek where people were wondering like, should I do this? Should I not do this? What's the value? Well, you've heard it here from the designer.
Why would I pay 2 Solari to not take a real action is like some criticism of it,
But there's a value there, right, in delaying. You get to go another turn later than everyone
yeah,
else.
it helps you with combat as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, because then you can commit later and see what other people do and then come in and push in just the right amount.
Right. Not have to waste your troops or maybe not even put
Right.
more in if no one else went for
Right.
it. I think, yeah, there seems real value in that.
And there's
Getting
just
to react.
just value in cycling your deck too. The fact that you're going there, you draw a card. It's not that expensive. Like, yeah, early in the game it's pretty expensive, but for Ilbon it's not that expensive because he's getting that extra card, so he cycles really fast.
Yeah.
Yep, refill.
Oh, what happened? Did somebody else get Kwisatz Haderach?
Yeah, it was June. June picked it up.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
huge. James is probably, his heart is probably sinking right now. Yeah, he looks
Because
frustrated.
that's what he was trying to decide.
Yeah.
Do I do the Mentat? Do I go after this card? What's worth it? And then, yeah, that's tough. That's really tough.
Well, that's big for June, the Beast player. Yeah, James looks a little
Yeah,
a little out of sorts now. He's like, what am I gonna do? I committed to this line.
Now what?
And how does it work? Is it very last action or?
No, it's just when it's his turn. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you get it early, you can use it on the next turn, yeah. It's one of your agents.
Okay, Yuka asking for another clarification here on the use of the Mentat. I don't know. Did we get any word from Yuka on how he was feeling about Dune Imperium being the final game? I'm wondering if it's just nerves that's making him need some clarifications on some rules, some confirmations,
Can
or
you hold on to it for a second?
is he less experienced in the game?
Take a quick break. Okay. Everybody stand up for a second. I just gotta...
Looks like they're taking a break.
They are taking a break.
Thank you. You can leave the card right there. Yeah. They use the bathroom, right? Yeah. All right, cool.
All right.
Is this because a player requested a break and they?
I think so. So just a quick bathroom break. I mean, these players have been going for hours back to back, and I know I'm a nervous peer, so I would need to go probably 3 times during the game. I have to go now, if I'm honest with you. So, you know, it's interesting. Everyone step away from the table. No one gets more time to sit and look. We're keeping everything. I think if there's you're just like, no one can come back to the table and say, oh, something's different.
Right.
You know, we take that concern away completely because everyone's moved away from the table. Not that we would think anyone would do anything like that,
Sure.
but it just helps
Right, so
ease minds,
We've
I
got,
think.
yeah, player 1 has a point here.
Are they double
It's
checking
like,
points?
yeah, it looks like our
Player 2.
judge, Josh, is double checking the state
Yuka
of everything,
has a
make sure
point here.
everything's accurate.
And then player 3 has 1 point here and 1 point here. That's pretty basic. Okay. Yeah, I mean, all those are very simple points.
It looks like there's a question. We're doing a little check to make sure
Okay.
that all the points are right. Everything's accounted for, and the judge is saying, yeah,
Yeah, better,
nodding right
better
here.
safe than sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand.
It is
if,
high
if somebody had a
stakes.
question.
There are nerves.
Somebody just came running. Somebody doesn't have a victory. So we had to check it. Those are all pretty simple points. All right. So was it wrong? Was it right? No, it's totally right. Okay. So someone out there just. You all agree that it's correct, right? I mean, we haven't done a whole
We're just
lot.
getting double confirmation.
Very
Yes,
simple.
our score is correct.
Blue
All
hasn't
the
got any
points
points yet.
here.
Yellow won a battle and has 1 on this.
Mhm.
No, where is it? Which one is it? Oh, maybe.
Wait.
Maybe it is. Did I just do it wrong?
Uh-oh.
No,
Uh-oh, okay, we really have to
No.
double
Wait,
check
no,
everything.
Don't do that.
Sorry.
All right, hold on.
Yellow has
I'm sorry. Yeah, no. Yellow has 1.
Oh.
All right,
Oh.
player 1 has 1 on the faction board. Player 2 is Yuka. He's won 1 battle. He has 1 point. Player 3 has 2 points, 1 from a battle and 1 from the faction board. Yeah,
Okay.
those are all
Right,
super
right.
simple.
Okay.
We almost confused ourselves.
Yeah.
Exactly. We weren't overthinking it. We were playing just fine. So,
I can relate to that
Well, somebody
feeling.
came
Be
right
like,
up
the score's
and-
this. No, wait, is it?
Sure.
No, yes it is. Yes it is.
Especially after such a long day or a long
Gosh.
series of days.
Yes,
You start to
yes.
doubt your brain.
Yes, you do. I doubt mine all the time. Well, while we're waiting here, I'd love to get your
We just
thoughts
had to,
actually
go over the
also on the our guild tracks here, and how important.
All right.
We've got some
It
battling
is possible
going
at the
on
end of a
here,
week long of gaming
people,
that
you
we
know, moving
move
up. How
around
important would you
piece,
say it
even
is
judges.
to
So
focus in on those
if
spaces?
let's just go over everything one more
Moving
time
up those
with a
tracks and
fine
getting
tooth comb.
those,
We all started with a victory point.
Yeah, it's
So
a good question.
player 1 has received 1 point for moving up on the Bene Gesserit.
As they continue to,
Fine tooth comb. We know you've done that.
double check the points.
Everybody agree? Yeah. All right. Player 2, Yuka, you've won a battle. You've got a victory point. And you have moved up on this track because you went to that space. So that looks good. Still with everybody. All right, player 3 is green, has won a battle, and has moved up on this track because you've done those actions 2 times.
Yes.
Everybody agree? And let's see who else has moved up. Blue has taken this action to move up, and red, I think this was first action of the game, maybe even?
Yeah.
So yeah, everything looks good.
I think it's
All right,
a
guys,
great
no
example
problems.
of how
Alright.
seriously
All right.
the World Series of Wargaming
Yeah.
takes
Okay, then.
integrity
Yeah.
and making sure everyone feels good about what's happening in the game state. You know, really double checking it and explaining
Yeah,
it. to
making sure
everybody.
everybody
Yeah.
is on the same page before proceeding makes a lot of sense. Yeah, to your question, it's really important to eventually get up to the second level of each
Yes.
guild track, just because there are points that nobody can block you,
Yes.
right? I say eventually because I think it's also important to try to fight for at least one alliance,
Yes.
especially if you're a political leader like the Baron. So sometimes you just kind of linger at the bottom of one track while you focus
That
on
was a nice
another
forced
Yes.
break.
and
Huh?
lock up that alliance, and then pick it up later in the game because
Then
nobody can
circle
stop
back
you,
around.
right?
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of the real player politics come in Dune. Like if somebody gets ahead and they have an alliance, is it worth it for you to catch up and try to steal that alliance?
Right.
Are they winning? Are they not winning? You know, it becomes a little bit of like punch the leader.
Right.
You know, but it's not, you know, outright easy to punch the leader in this game.
No.
And then there's also the hidden intrigue cards. You don't really know if they're winning because there's some hidden information where somebody else actually might be sitting on a victory point.
Right.
So we're back to the game and James
Yes,
playing?
I believe so. I believe it's James' turn. He's just played out. I don't know this card here are all on the far right, which I don't know as well as you. I'm sure you will.
Piter?
recognize. Piter. That one's Piter. He's just played out Piter.
Yeah. Yeah, so he got kind of despondent about the Kwisatz Haderach going away, so I think he
Yes.
decided, all right, then I will use Piter's agent box to get myself an intrigue card, which makes perfect sense.
I think so too.
There is a Worm Riders on the row, which is a pretty strong card. It's a strong combat card, but it's a pretty... you have to make a commitment to combat and away from buying the Spice Must Flow when you buy it, because it doesn't give you any persuasion.
Yeah.
And you have to make a commitment to the Fremen. If you buy Worm Riders and don't make friends with the Fremen, you're
Right,
not
that's-
getting anywhere.
It's not really helping you much. All right. Looks like Yuka's getting Spice. Putting one into the conflict. So Yuka has one in there. Alan has one. But they're being challenged now
There we go.
by James with 3.
Yeah, so James is in good position to win this. He's been conserving troops
Oh, yeah.
for the first couple rounds of the game, so now he's pulling the trigger. And he did make use of that kind of delayed commitment from the Mentat by pushing those troops late.
Yes. Yes, he did, because I've just noticed. I think the card just got passed right back to him, so other people had passed.
Right.
And now he's gathering up.
He took Worm Riders, so he's making
He
a
grabbed
commitment
it.
to
Okay,
combat.
maybe he's feeling like, okay, things are looking up for me. Even though I didn't get that one card I wanted,
Okay.
maybe there's some other things out there.
Yeah, and I think that puts June as the beast kind of it may be favorite in this game. He got his first sword master. He won
Yes.
a point in combat, and he picked up Kwisatz Haderach. That's
Sorry,
pretty
since-
good.
Okay. Since I played Piter de V, I was supposed to get an intrigue card in addition to the Karthik intrigue card.
Oh, we forgot to take a card.
So,
And it's
yeah,
forced.
yeah, we moved pretty. What's that?
But it's forced. So
Where is the limit?
Yeah, so there's got to be a limit. I mean,
okay.
yeah, you bought, Yuka's revealed. Yeah. The other one we caught right before you did anything.
Yep.
So yeah, there's got to be
Oh,
a point where
that
people
hurts
can miss things.
for
So
James.
I think this is it.
James missed getting
Try-
that
try to
extra
remember
intrigue
and
card,
feature everything before you pass the card.
and they're saying now
or before. What's that?
They are not going to let him draw it now.
So
because
this
the card was
affected,
already
also
passed.
affected the Imperium row. So the fact that that's mandatory.
Sure.
Yeah. All right.
Oof.
Yeah, he's.
Are you happy with that?
Oh, poor James. I think
I'm
it's
happy.
Yeah, not
Wrong
a
word,
question.
but
Yeah, it's not a
you're-
question.
yeah.
So
You do have the option to appeal at any time. So
He's taking it in stride, but he's got to be somewhat tilted
Feeling-
right now.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right. Didn't get that card he wanted. Played the other one. Miss, and these things happen sometimes in games. You miss a step, and at some point you say, "It's gone too far past. We can't go back on it." That's a tough call to have to make, and a tough call to have to sit with.
Yep.
Okay, looks like you guys picked up Spice Smugglers.
reveal card.
Now, all the players for Dune Imperium got the first foil card that's been made for the game, which is Worm Riders. And they all got that, I think, just plain in the first round. You got that card as a special gift. There's a question, is that being played with in this game right now? Chad is asking, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't
That's
see
what
I don't see the
right.
pile of Spiceless Flows.
All right,
Maybe
so
I'm
everyone
missing
is
it.
revealed. Yeah. All right.
It might be off
Let's
screen.
move on
Yeah.
to the conflict for Eric. Player 1 is.
Oh no, it's on the right.
Okay, not in there. So
Oh, great,
entry
yes.
cards.
It does not look
Yeah.
like the foil versions that
You got-
the contestants got. No.
Let's reward red a victory point, and you can put your control marker on Eric.
Okay, well, James won
we've got a
that
tie.
combat as
Second,
Yeah.
so you both get
we
2
thought he
points.
probably would. Gets control.
Yeah, you
Their king,
Coins.
I think.
and you've got casualties.
Yeah.
Battlefield
As much of
here.
a problem as like missing out on an entry
James,
card
you take
is,
that card and
James
put it
is
in
not out of the game. I think he
the
still
bottom
has a
left
strong
corner.
deck. Even if, obviously he didn't get the Quizzox, but he's got a strong deck. He has control of Arakeen at the end of round 3.
Okay,
That's
whoa, whoa, whoa,
almost
whoa,
as good
whoa,
as having
whoa.
Carthag
He was
at round
here,
2.
right? Okay, cool. Let's put make some spice. All right, now you can recall your.
Oh, sorry.
Now you can go. Yeah.
And Tad's going
All right.
back to its
While
spot.
you're getting your new hands, we'll reveal the next conflict.
Another
Another point.
victory point?
Oh,
What is going
boy.
on? And this is another control. So all 3 control
Wow.
conflicts came up as fast as possible. So this is going to be for the Imperial Basin.
Okay.
I feel like I would. Now I'm not anywhere at the level of these players, but if it were me, I feel like I would gun hard
Even
for
the alliance
this.
faction
Oh, this is
we-
Carthag. Wait, I thought somebody controlled Carthag before. Did I just miss it? Was it a different? Maybe we showed a different.
Oh, I
card.
think it was just a different card.
Okay, it was
got
just a
shown.
card that gave like a trash in addition to a.
That was Desert Power.
Have we passed that yet?
Okay, desert
Yeah,
power,
we just
water
did,
in
yeah.
addition to the point. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I take back what I said about that earlier point. Who was that? June who won that earlier.
Mm.
So June did not take control of Carthag. And this fight is for Carthag, which is
Yes.
still quite good. This could mean that this game will go relatively fast for Dune Imperium games with all
Because
these
those
points are
points
showing
came
up.
out right at the start, and
Yeah.
someone gets that momentum, they start pushing up the track.
So this should be round 4, which means Alan is probably going first this round because he's in seat 4.
Finally getting his first turn round. Getting a little peek at his hand there.
Yeah, he's going for diplomacy. He's really got to start thinking about Solari. Like it's starting to get to the stage of the game where if he doesn't get a Swordmaster or a High Council soon,
He's gonna start to feel
he'll fall behind
Yeah.
the other players because he's only going to be taking 2 actions where everybody
they're
else
gonna be
will
taking 3, and
taking
that's you won't be able to come back from that. I feel like just losing that momentum.
He took water. Is he going to put any troops in? It's kind of tough to commit troops on the first action, on your first action, when you only have 2 actions and some other people have 3.
Yes. They're just going to be able to react to you, and you won't be able to react back.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I wonder if committing 1.
Yeah. I mean, 1 is
Yeah.
the safe play,
Might as well get in there, put a little pressure on everyone else.
and nobody has a lot of troops right now.
Yeah, they don't. Now, I wonder if he will push for this round, if we'll see him pushing for that Swordmaster, the ability to get the Swordmaster or the Mentat.
Yeah, I can't see his resources. He might have taken the water to go to 2 water to then get the bonus spice that's sitting on the desert,
Yeah.
the Great Flat. I think I called it the Deep Desert earlier because I'm very used to playing Dune Uprising.
Yes. Yeah, I think there was a question earlier, are we playing Dune Uprising in this game? We're not. It's just base Dune Imperium.
Yep.
Only. Yeah.
Paying 2 spice.
Okay.
So this makes
That's what I
sense.
was, yeah. Makes
Okay,
sense.
so this is shifting allegiances.
5, pay 2 for shifting allegiances.
So what is James? Where is James going to move on shifting allegiances? And he just went and got the Great Flat Spice, so he just got a bunch of spice, but he's spending 2 of it right now.
Yeah.
Shifting allegiances lets you go down 1 step with one of the factions to
Oh,
go
to
up
go up
2
2 on with another.
anyone. You could spend it to just get 2 with one effectively with the same one, but usually it's done to just jump up 2.
Interesting. He's went down 1.
So down advantages
Up
are-
it.
All right.
So he just
So
lost
yes,
down
this is
and
where
up
that first went
again.
down.
Yep.
Oh no, he changed his
One,
mind.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to do Emperor.
Twice.
All right. Now you can get it back.
Okay, this makes total sense, right? Because he
Okay.
bought the Worm Riders, and
So
you
now-
need 2 Fremen influence at least to get swords from Worm Riders.
So, and he didn't lose a point. His point status stayed the same here.
Right.
And now he's got the ability to make the best use out of that card. That's a smart strategy. That's a smart thing to know when you see your cards. This is what I need to do to be able to capitalize on that. Oh, and of course next year they will be playing Dune Uprising in the competition.
Yeah, exciting. And the worms, the great sandworms of Arrakis are represented in the base game with this card. Like that is the ultimate
Right.
worm riding card. Uprising adds
Add to the actual worms and using
wooden
them
worms
in
or
the
plastic if you
combat.
prefer. Yeah.
I love having the worms in there.
You gotta pay the cost first. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Should be this new one.
Nope, that is the new one.
That is the new
Sorry, yeah, we forgot to announce that we're actually fighting for Carthage.
Yes, the last one was actually.
Yeah, he got
Alright,
Eric.
alright,
somewhere.
I didn't.
Yeah, I forgot to announce where we're.
I never saw it from
Mhm.
yeah, 2
Yeah.
troops.
Okay. Oops, sorry. All right, 4 in. And yeah, sure.
These are in
Yeah.
the right piece.
This is where they were, right? I think. Looks good. All right. It wasn't that big of a shift, but yeah, got to be careful.
Well, hello. Paula has now morphed into Meg, so we are just having people pop in through here. But Paul, I am so excited to be sitting here next to you because I heard a little treat earlier that the Mentat is your favorite spot.
It is.
I share that love.
Really?
I love the Mentat. I love it, especially once you have your Swordmaster.
Yeah.
It's very tricksy. If you have a little bit of income at the end just to have that in the future, I think it's so worth it. I love the Mentat.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love it so much that I go there early in the game
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
I just can't turn it down sometimes. It feels like a compulsion.
Yeah.
Which hurts me sometimes. Sometimes I pull the trigger on it too much, but I still have fun with it. And
I
having fun
completely
is-
agree. I overuse it a lot.
So
That's
yeah,
such a great spot.
thanks for chipping in. What is your favorite leader to play in Dune?
I don't know. I do really love Helena. I love her signet ability. I think she was such a good choice that when I saw that, I was like, yes, this is exactly how I would play.
If you like deck building, I guess.
Yes. Oh, and I do. And the Beast is someone who I always gravitate away from. So he's someone that I normally never play. That it's really cool, not just to see it being played, but also hear your perspective on how it kind of behaves.
So I think Helena's going right now. Alan in the top right. And has a fold space in hand. Whenever you draw into fold space, you really don't want to reveal it. So I can only imagine we're going to see a fold space here.
Absolutely.
But Paul and I were also talking about how Alan's kind of falling behind in terms of like resources. Like, this is not set up to get a sword mastery yet.
Which does have me worried.
Yeah.
Especially being down a sword master, that can be so crucial. I do think, you know, Alan is definitely going to have to try to catch up somehow with this.
Upfront.
And I don't think Alan's earned a point yet, too. Like, he's been dabbling in a variety of things, right? He's got one influence on 3 different tracks. So he's setting himself up for some points, but not pulling the trigger on anything. He hasn't won a combat.
All right.
Yeah, that can be a very tight position. I say, you know, the combats are one of the most crucial parts of this game, that there's a whole ton of strategy between the different things that you can be doing, but the battles really, really can make or break the game for players.
I have to draw the 3rd card, so I have to be shuffled here.
Okay, so a complex turn where he played fold space
Right,
crashed
I only have
itself,
2 cards.
Is that your hand? Okay, I was making sure that was.
he
Your
chose
hand,
Yeah, so I have to reshuffle this.
he chose dagger to trash to draw 2, and it looks like his deck is pretty small now. His deck is maybe 4 or 5 cards.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy.
So
I enjoy that play style, that it can really help propel you if you want to draw exactly what you want.
absolutely. If you have a really strong card, trashing cards gets even better. The problem is, what is his strong card? Like, he bought a Guild Administrator. My memory's not super sharp. I don't remember what else he bought, but he might have bought a Duncan. But he doesn't have like a powerhouse card, which is kind of what you want if you're paying spice like this to thin your deck.
Right, he used kind of like the correct strategy without having the engine completely going before he started getting rid of all those cards.
I'll put the fold space over here. If it were to run out, I'll pull them all back out.
I'm going to play Bindu Suspension. So,
Ooh, Bindu
start my turn, I draw a card, and then pass my turn.
That's fun. I love it. So that's one of the weirder intrigue cards. You play it when it's your turn.
There you go.
You draw a card, and you may choose to pass your turn instead of sending an agent. So it's like, let me just see what everybody else wants to do. Like,
I'm gonna oversee for a turn.
Yeah.
You want that out of the way?
That's great.
Yeah. Well, let's. Everybody knows these are available, right? Move them over here. Okay.
Now, so Paul, how often do you tend to win at Dune?
how often do I tend to what?
Win at Dune.
You know, on the development team, I'd say my fair share. But
That's
like,
awesome.
there's no like clear cut. Like we have a bunch of balanced players on the dev team, so I'd have to consult the spreadsheet. Maybe like a little bit more than average, just because I've been playing it longer than the average developer on our team.
But you say a well-balanced team, and honestly, something that I've experienced in Dune over and over again, even with different levels of players, that this game is so well-balanced, that between the different things that you're trying to do, there are so many options and so many branches, but it really does keep players so tightly scored together that it just functions really well, Paul.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I could also say that it's like balanced by being unbalanced in a variety of ways. But that's that's part of some of the fun of some of my most favorite board games.
Absolutely.
When a game, like when somebody has a character that lets them do something that to you sitting across the table from them, it looks so unbalanced, but then you do something that they feel is unbalanced. So hopefully Dune captured that a little bit.
I think so. I absolutely think so. like I said, I think the battles can be very, very important, but you can also definitely win without having to win the battles if you
Right.
go with a different strategy. So there are many ways to approach this, and there are many ways to pivot depending on what other people start doing to you.
Yeah, effectively there's combat, politics, and spice must flow to kind of generally break it down. And then there's the intrigue points that you can't really rely on finding. Those are
Right.
more like, if you find it, maybe warp your game a little bit towards those points. But yeah, the spice must flow is a consistent, like sort of a reliable thing you can pursue. But when you pursue it, if somebody kind of high rolls on combat, then you're gonna kind of be too slow to beat them.
Right.
So it's reliable, but it can often end up putting you in second place.
Reliably second.
Yeah.
So, Polly, I actually have another question for you. Is Ford your preferred player account for Dan?
Yeah, I'd say I really enjoy 3-player games also,
Mm-hmm.
and on the dev team, like we can crank through more games faster when playing 3 players. So
Yes.
I've played my fair share of both 3 and 4. But like if I'm just gonna play for fun with a group, 4 players would be my favorite.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I completely agree that if you're in a time crunch, or even if you just want a shorter game, 3 is a lot tighter. But I think 4 really shows all of the aspects of what you can really get into.
Yeah.
Even with the amount of cards that come out from the market because more are being purchased, you just see so much more of the game.
Yeah, and it feels different playing 3 and 4. Like there's the same number of worker spaces,
Yeah.
but one more player with the same number of agents as
Exactly.
everybody else. So like the game gets tighter with 4 players.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, by the end you can have 13 with someone having the men 10, and that's so many all across the board.
Yeah.
No, I'm wrong. 17. If you have 4 people, 17. No, 13.
Well, I don't know. I'm not going to check your math on that, but the Klisat Haderach can also throw a wrench into the math. Various intrigue cards can let you recall an agent.
Yeah, that's
wacky stuff can
true.
ensue.
That's really true too.
All right, trying to figure out what was just. It looks like a Spice Must Flow was purchased by Alan. So Alan went from, I was just talking about how he didn't have any points, and now he just got 2 this round. He got 1 from the Bene Gesserit, and then bursted up his persuasion via the selective breeding and a tight deck to buy a Spice Must Flow. So he's on the path, he's on the reliable path, perhaps, to do well with that strategy, but I guess he bought Duncan earlier, so he has some fighting power.
And that is kind of the thing we were saying, is that you can approach this so differently, and even like we were saying, be behind and a little bit confusing. And depending on how it all plays out, sometimes that can be, what worked best.
Mm-hmm. Trying to take a peek there at James's intrigue cards. He's got a combat card.
I'll play Poison Snooper.
He's playing a Poison Snooper, which lets him look at the top
card.
card of his deck and then draw it or trash it. Oh, he's not going to want to trash Worm Riders. I believe that's Worm Riders. Yep. He's looking at, is this a bluff? He's like trying to make everybody else at the table think that he is considering trashing it.
I love that.
Wait, he just put it back on his deck. That should not. Or did he put it in his, does he have his hand as a
He's
pile on it?
divided right now.
Okay. Wow, that was pretty savvy.
Yeah.
Do I want to
that.
trash this card? Take a few seconds to decide? No, I'll keep Worm Riders.
I really liked that. Yeah, one of my favorite things to do in something like this is, it's hard if people start seeing what you want to do. So then I try to ask questions about it, because it helps show, you're looking at the entire board. What does this do? What does that do? And compare everything. So you can't really let people know what you're doing.
Josh, the judge, I believe, is doing a good job of maintaining the combat trackers so that all the players can kind of see where everybody stands. Not something you have to do if you're playing casually. You can just figure it out later when it's time to do your reveal turn. But
Yes.
I like this method of giving everybody visibility into the combat strength.
Now, I know we've mentioned Alan and his strategy, but who do you think might be, we are still very early game, but what do you think is the strongest strategy that you saw coming out?
I don't know that I've seen the strongest strategy. The Beast, played by June, had a very kind of fairly common start as the Beast, like going for the fast sword master, taking advantage of those extra resources. So I think that isn't necessarily a winning strategy. The fact that he got Kwisatz Haderach on top of that is what makes me think that he's still
Have
the
a
one
good
to
edge
watch.
early game.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But, I don't know that was strategy as much as fortune. Big card came up. Lady Jessica now in the Imperium row. Yeah, we sometimes joke on the dev team that she's an 8-cost card that only costs 7. She's just that good. When you acquire her, you get to take an influence with any one of the 4 factions, and then she can play to Bene Gesserit or any of the 3 common symbols, and she draws 2 cards. She reveals for 3 in a dagger. She can do everything.
Now, looking around, I'm unsure who may be able to try to grab her first.
I am unsure as well. And this is one of the things about, like, typically Ilbon and Helena would have the best chances of getting a card, but at this stage of the game it kind of depends on how you've been crafting your deck, and my memory is not sharp enough to remember who's been crafting their deck best to acquire some of these high cost cards.
So I believe June did just take the Mentat.
Yeah, looks like it. And that could be a sign that June is going for Jessica. We haven't seen Kwisatz Haderach be played yet. That might be in June's deck, and it might be in June's hand. Kwisatz is a make or break card, almost depending on where it shuffles to, right? If it shuffles to the bottom, you're gonna have a worse game than if it shuffles to the top.
That's deck building for you.
There goes James revealing the Worm Riders. I think June is going to be happy here that he did take the Mentat, because now he can react to just about anybody, including James's huge sword reveal. So June either has swords in his hand and he's just going to come over the top anyway, or he's going to have to go in and commit another troop. James takes an Arrakis Liaison, so James is going to be trying to build up for some Spice Must Flows later, despite having Worm Riders in his deck.
Now you sounded like you might not have done that.
Might not have what?
Made that choice.
No, I like the choice, because he has Piter. Like, he's got, and he's Ilbon. Like, Ilbon just has, like, innate power to go for the Spice Must Flow with the extra card draws. So he absolutely should not give up on the Spice Must Flow. You can do a hybrid strategy in Dune Imperium. So he's going to go the hybrid combat Spice Must Flow, probably. And he's got politics. He's got if he can keep his spice levels high, he's got the shifting allegiances. So he can go down and burst up too. And that can be a very powerful tool for, like, catching up to a leader. Like if, for example, June right now is potentially the leader in this game, he might be able to pick on June a little bit by trying to steal an alliance from June. Not that June has an alliance yet, but if June goes for one, he could try to steal it. Yeah. And stealing an alliance from the Beast is even more important, because the Beast's signet ring gives him a troop or 2 troops if he has an alliance. So stopping the Beast from getting an alliance can be kind of a knife in his back.
I am very happy that this is, I mean, I know we've had it in the finals before, but I think this is just such a good game to show the skill of the players as well. There's so much decision space to be made that I think it's really just showing everyone playing their best game today.
Yeah, obviously I'm happy just, because I happened to design the game, but I think it's a fun game to watch. It's somewhat, it's competitive, somewhat intense without being super long. So I think it's a nice fit for this kind of environment.
And I do love the mechanic for the alliances of
that not only do you gain an alliance, but you're sometimes taking it away from other players, and that it, you know, directly affects the victory points that are currently scoring the game. I love how you can kind of just change things and really shift what's happening, which does make it feel very political.
Yeah, the points in Dune are obviously very chunky, right? Like, you only need 10 to win. And
Yeah.
you gain 1 and you're really happy. You lose 1 and you're really unhappy.
Yeah, it's a huge difference, and especially when it's, you know, you lose 1 and someone goes up, and there's that space
Yeah,
there
it's a
between
big
you.
swing.
It's so tough.
And unless I missed it. Oh, interesting. So June is going to secrets to get an entry card. So my guess is he feels confident that he's going to win this combat, even though they're currently tied at 8 strength.
And that did draw him another entry
It did,
card,
yeah.
so maybe he was pretty close in hedging his bets.
Yeah, we'll see what he reveals.
Because it looks like he has 2, I believe.
2 intrigues.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think it goes back to you, yeah.
Okay, he's going to reveal. Having an intrigue card when you get into a close combat is just so important too. Like, even if it's not a combat card, the threat of having a combat card is important.
Absolutely. You know, just like we've seen the players doing a few things that are a little bit trying to get in the head of each other, the intrigue cards are huge, especially even just having a stack available no matter what you plan to use it for. It's a little threat.
I don't think he's revealing any daggers or swords. So I think it's going to remain a tie. I think I just heard him say 5. So he's revealing 5 persuasion, no sword. So we're looking at a tie situation here. So did he pull a combat intrigue? We know, I think, that James is sitting on a combat intrigue. I couldn't see what combat intrigue it was. It might be the kind of combat intrigue that doesn't give you extra daggers. Maybe it's a retreat intrigue, or maybe it requires resources to... Okay, Smuggler Slopther bought good solid card, especially if you're close to or have 2 influence with the Spacing Guild, which nobody has yet.
Okay. So, active player Alan, you're in the battle.
Okay, we're going into battle with a tie.
Pass. James
is. Oh, he's got Master Tactician, a free +3 swords. Does June have something to counter? No.
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Alan. Back to
Wow,
James.
so it's gonna go to James.
Really good
so
round
we have-
for James. He only had put 2 troops in, and the Sand Rider, the Worm Riders gave him 4. He had 3 from Master Tactician. That's really efficient.
Yeah, so I do assume now that June was trying to draw into
Fish
intrigue
for
and,
one, yeah.
hoping to get just a little bit extra and just couldn't get there.
Yeah, and
to the victor.
Probably wise to not push in a trip. He could have,
Right,
moved
place.
into, Imperial Basin and pushed in 1 troop, something like that. But then he wouldn't have won anyway. The Master Tactician would have beat him, and he would have been giving up the point with the Benny Gesserit. So it was a pretty wise decision.
And actually, for all we know, it could have given him 2 daggers.
That card as well.
Yeah.
And he decided just to stop
Absolutely.
here. Yeah, it could have actually been one that's helpful, but no longer helpful.
Yeah.
Let's put Spice on the board. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can remove your troops.
I put Spice on.
Oh, did you? Okay, good.
Yeah, this game just got a lot closer because of that.
Thank you.
Because I think June was kind of the leader, but now I'm not so sure.
So if a player,
because he spent a lot of troops there to get a second place.
When it goes there, you get a point.
And now they're gone.
But are they like to the end of the game? Or?
They're until
Now we do
Until
also
someone
still
wins the
have
battle at that spot.
Alan and
They
James.
swap.
Not
Maybe a
have purchased
later-
their
Yeah,
sword
There could be
masters
a
yet.
battle
Yeah.
Got it.
with this.
Yeah.
I guess in
I'm very
addition,
surprised.
I am
if
surprised
there
too.
is another battle for Carthag or Arakeen, then the owner will.
I know we were
will
talking
get
a little
1
bit
troop
about
from
Alan's
the supply
economy and him being
into
able to
battle
afford
for
it,
free.
but I'm surprised both of them
at the
have.
beginning of the round.
Beginning of the round.
Yeah, I don't even know how close they are.
So yeah, we'll get our agents back.
Not very close from the looks of it. If you don't go for Swordmaster, what can happen is you get a lead because instead of investing in a Swordmaster, you're just taking points places, but then you can kind of fall back as other people are taking more actions than you.
All right.
Is this
For the third
another?
location.
It's wow. So all 3 have now come up.
This is
even though I
just
was
a
wrong
territory
earlier.
game. I do also, again, just to talk about mechanics that I love in this game, but these battles that give you the boons for the different areas that you go to, I think it's so cool, and again, can completely change the game from play to play. That all of these coming out is like so entertaining and great for us, but it's also going to affect so much, you know, as if they hadn't come out, it would have been such a different game.
Yep. Yeah, and I would say this conflict, the Imperial Basin, is the strongest among them because the bonus for controlling it is a spice, and a spice is, by and large, better than one Solari.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Amp card. Cool. All right. How's everybody feeling? Good, good.
So, unless I'm mistaken, this is round 5 that they're starting now. Yep. So we've gone around the whole table with everybody going first, and now it's back to seat 1, James, starting this round 5.
This is the point in the game where you're really going to start seeing the customized decks that they started to build and purchase.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite parts of the game, once you start breaking away from the cards that you started off with and you're really utilizing not just the cards that you bought, but getting them to synergize better together as they start coming out.
Back then,
Good luck.
I still don't think we've seen the Kwisatz Haderach, so I think June probably had a bit of an unlucky shuffle where it didn't shuffle to the top of his deck, so I expect to see it this round. It's hard to see. What's really unlucky is when you get the Kwisatz Haderach at the bottom of your deck, and then when you play it, you have to draw a card and you have to reshuffle and create a new deck, which means then it doesn't shuffle into that deck. So
Right, and then it's stuck, you know, for an entire cycle until you can see it again.
Yeah, and then like card draw, and thinning with the Kwisatz Haderach can become more important. So James is in the lead here, right?
And he does have a decent amount of spice, I believe.
Yeah, is that a 5?
It looks,
One of the big ones?
I think he has a 5 and a 1, so he's definitely setting himself up with a lot of options.
Oh wow. He's choosing to do Conspire, which I like it because he was like falling behind on Solari, and this is a way to get a load of Solari, 5 Solari, 2 troops, and an intrigue card, and an influence with the Emperor. So he just took a point with the Emperor, so now he's actually 2 points ahead of
That's
every
so
other
huge.
player.
Absolutely huge. And again, at this point, no one has an alliance yet, so it's not like those points are counting toward anything.
Right. And he's ahead on the Emperor track. I guess we'll see a Fremen alliance soonest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we'll see Spacing Guild alliance last, maybe, or possibly Emperor.
Now, I do tend to notice that Fremen does usually go up first. Is that true with a lot of your games, too?
Yeah, I think so, because both of the spaces are combat spaces, so you can kind of shove your troops in pretty easily, and they are relatively cheap, right? Like you go to Still Suits, there's no cost, and you get a water and you can push a troop in, and then again, the Baron, typically you see the Baron go to Hardy Warriors early in the game and trigger the Master Stroke. In this case, Yuka has held back somehow until round 5 without triggering Master Stroke. Which is perhaps part of his plan of secrecy, like, oh, don't worry about little old me, when he's actually sitting on like a potential burst of like 2 influence all of a sudden.
And I do think this is the time.
Well, he just pushed some troops in. I guess from the Imperial Basin, that's where his agent is.
I think this battle really is going to determine a lot of, you know, how the game goes moving forward. If James is able to get more troops in there and potentially somehow win this battle, I think that'll really, really make it clear he's running with it.
Yeah, with the same amount of troops as the other players, if he draws Worm Riders, he just has more strength.
And again, I'm so surprised that he's ahead with, you know, both of his agents and no Swordmaster.
Yeah. He's playing well.
Yeah. very efficient, a very tight game if you're able to do that with just your agents.
He's in a position now with Ilban that is difficult for me to play because, like I said, I can't stop going to the Mentat. So sometimes with Ilban, I will just keep spending my money on the Mentat, drawing cards, and slow down my Swordmaster. I wonder if he's going to do that, or is he going to get more Solari?
It does look like he may be going to purchase the Swordmaster this round.
I think I'd be afraid of fighting this round if I was in this game and going against June, because I do expect Kwisatz Haderach to come out this round, and if you're fighting hard and Kwisatz Haderach comes in and just bursts your bubble.
Yeah, I would say between that and his ability, this is a very scary round.
You're treasuring that?
Yeah. I draw 2 cards.
All right, so hold on, let's slow down a little bit. So you paid the cost, you went there.
Yes.
Let's, you want to resolve that first, you say?
Sure.
All right, so, no, hold on. Are we resolving your text box that you read out
Yeah,
loud?
each
Okay.
person
So
has
let's-
discard.
All right, well,
So Alan played Test of Humanity, which is a card that forces opponents to either discard a card
Discarding.
or lose a deployed troop. If you don't have a deployed troop, you
Wow.
must discard a card.
What a great card to have in this moment.
Put your hand in the box, Meg. And he also played it to selective breeding, I believe.
You know, it's something so different to see playing at this level.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of levels of play for June.
I mean, I definitely try to strategize, and I always want to win when I play, but I'm not playing for $25,000.
Right.
Now you want to do selective
I'm playing for
breeding?
bragging rights that night.
Take that.
I can only imagine, you know, the pressure and how much they're thinking and crunching things and focusing.
No, I haven't moved it.
So this move, correct?
Move up, yeah.
So Alan is moving closer to the Bene Gesserit Alliance, which I think is a smart move. He's kind of scaring off the other players. I think he probably has a sense that they're not afraid of him because he had a poor start, and so they're not going to try to steal his alliance.
And when alliances happen, like with that one, I find that if you're ahead by a certain amount, you can stay ahead. You know, you start seeing people trying to catch up to you, and if you have 1 or 2 spaces between them, you can kind of keep that lead and just reach the top of the track. If they're able to, you know, obviously it all have to work well, but I think having a nice, you know, gap as opposed to how the Fremen alliance looks,
I think
it's definitely a safer way to go.
I think it's a good tactic. Just like make yourself too far ahead for other people to bother with.
And again, even like the mental math, once you have it locked in and you don't have to worry, it's like, okay, I got that point, that's done, now I'm going to focus on all of these other things.
Right. The Bremen track, I think, is going to be the most interesting. Like, how much does James care about getting super Worm Riders for 6 swords? Because, and it's also pretty scary to have James right behind you on any track, because shifting allegiances can move him up quickly on a track.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to be in the position right there that green is at 3 influence with the Fremen.
Yeah, that is a nice little trick.
We're trying to peek at some cards here. I see a signet for James, which is not super impactful for Count Ilban, the leader going to the game. It's 1 Solari if he's at.
I believe he's
He's at like 5 or 6, something
Yeah.
like that. 6 probably. I think he had 1 and he went to Conspire. Can't quite tell what June is doing. I think maybe he's just still thinking about what to do.
Yeah. I think we're not sure.
I think he has Kwisatz and he's like going through the possibilities There's the Kwisatz, yeah. So he moves from Siege Tabor to Hardy Warriors, which gets him the Fremen Alliance. It costs him a water, but he immediately gets it back for reaching 4 influence with the Fremen. And it protects him against that kind of shifting allegiance steal that we were just talking about.
And now the points are just, spreading out and catching a bit back up.
Yeah, a little surprising that he did it on his second turn. Like he played 1 agent out to the board and then Kwisatz Haderach. I wonder if it's because he didn't want somebody else to go to Hardy Warriors, and that was the only way he could go to Hardy Warriors, so he figured he would just do it now.
And do you think not even just wanting to do it, but also denying the option to other players?
Yeah, true.
Maybe it wasn't necessarily he felt he needed it, but to make sure no one else could possibly take it.
Is he going to commit any troops here? I guess so he did hit that kind of unlucky problem that we were talking about. So he played Kwisatz and he had to draw, and he had no cards in his deck, so he had to create a new deck. So that's unfortunate.
To be fair, it does look like his deck is pretty thin as well.
Yeah.
That it at least won't take too long, but it's definitely going to take him a little bit to see that again.
Yeah, but he might not. Like when you get back-to-back Kwisatz hands, that's when you can kind of start rocking the game. And so the other players are probably breathing a sigh of relief that this happened to him, because it might give them like a breather of like a turn where he's not going to be able to do this.
Yeah, at least it's out now, and the way the shuffle worked, it's going to be in the discard.
If only he had other memory. I don't think I've seen it this game, but it's a Bene Gesserit card that lets you draw another Bene Gesserit card from your discard pile into hand. So if you can rock that with Kwisatz Haderach, it's pretty much game over for the other players.
Okay. You still have...
You put all 4 troops in.
I would too.
Done
I think it's a good call.
Hardy Warriors? Yeah, he did.
I think this battle really is
Got the
extremely
water.
important.
Got the
And
water. Yeah, I
if
think you're
James
right.
wins it.
Alright, you're good.
But again, James doesn't seem the most competitive currently in the battle. But we'll see what else he plays and what troops he can get out there.
Yeah. I don't think June has bought any swords, so that is his potential Achilles heel. That he's got more actions than the other players, but fewer surprise swords.
Yeah, I think that's definitely why he locked it in before playing both of his agents first.
Do you think he's trying to scare off the other players? Like, I've got 4 troops in here, you don't need to come in.
I think he needed it, and then he knows it's like that swing of taking 4 away. I think he was like, no matter what, this has to be worth it.
True.
And now everyone's going to have that decision space of, do I try committing and do I try, competing for this battle because I already know how much strength is there and what secrets might be coming.
Yeah. I wonder if he was blocking the Baron, because the Baron does have 2 troops in his garrison, so he could have triggered Masterstroke with Hardy Warriors, although I'm not sure that the Baron even has water. It's hard to see. I don't think so.
I don't either.
Diplomacy.
Yeah, so for those that haven't heard it, reminder that this is the last year that Dune will be at WSBG. Not all of Dune, but this particular Dune, because Dune Uprising will be played next year.
I'm not putting any troops in. Actually, hold on. Let's see. Yeah, actually, I should put 1 troop in. I put 1 troop in.
We have a little bit of dead space here, Paul. I'm going to introduce myself to the listeners. This is Mike Delisio, and it's a pleasure to be joining you in this live play of Dune Imperium. what would be your overall kind of assessment of where this game has gone so far? You said it was a little bit of an unusual game so far.
Yeah, I mean, only 2 players have Sword Masters, and we're deep into round 5.
Mm-hmm.
So that's unusual.
Yes.
Oh, who just bought Lady Jessica? That's pretty big card.
Sorry, I'm thinking.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think the Baron would have been my pick for, like, I think the Baron is in the lead earlier.
Yeah.
But the fact that we just saw the Kwisatz Haderach come up late and trigger a reshuffle is kind of a knock. And I think James kind of got unlucky earlier because he was setting up to get the Kwisatz.
Right.
And June stole it away from him before he could reveal.
Got in there, yeah.
So that was actually pretty dramatic to watch.
Sure.
And you could see it on his face when it happened.
It definitely could.
But I think James is playing well despite that problem.
Right.
And he missed an intrigue when he played
Right,
Pyre, so he's like
exactly.
down in intrigue. And he's like still winning this game. He's ahead on the score track.
Right.
Doesn't mean that he's really winning.
Sure.
But
Absolutely.
I
But
like his chances.
It's a good example of how he's been able to pivot and make the best out of not so great situations. We have a lot of troops going in right now.
Where did those troops? Oh, he went up to rally troops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Yuka is obviously far behind on the score track.
Yes.
I don't know when he's planning to use Masterstroke. That's another unusual thing about this game.
Yes.
Usually, I actually kind of like this from a story perspective. The Baron kind of like holding his cards, you know, secretly
And
until he needs them.
Yes, exactly.
But I don't typically see players do it this way.
Right.
Usually they're
Right.
just like eager to get the Masterstroke off, get those troops in, get some politics.
Right. Well, and and there have been a number of clarifications that Yuka's asked for. So again, this may be him trying to get a handle on how best to actually utilize his character ability.
Sure.
Paul, do you have any background yourself personally in tournament style gaming? Is this something that you ever took part in before designing this game, or?
Before designing this game, let's see, probably entered a Magic the Gathering tournament in 1994.
Sure.
But I'm not a big tournament gamer. I'm a competitive gamer without being a tournament player, if that makes sense.
100%. Yeah, and the reason I asked was that I just wondered, was that ever something that you had in consideration in your design process of is this a game that potentially could go that route? You know what I mean?
I had a sense that it could. I don't ever start there.
Sure.
I always start with, fun first.
Right.
And you'll typically have the best chance of getting a competitive scene if your game is fairly popular.
Right.
Right.
Of course.
So I think, there's a lot of variance in Dune.
Right.
Some might use the word luck, but there's a lot of skill and a lot of luck in Dune.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They don't cancel each other out.
No, not at all.
So I find that more fun to watch games that have variance.
Sure.
And hidden information. Like right now, even helping to broadcast this game.
Yeah.
It's exciting to me to wonder what the Baron's intrigue cards are right now.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is, like you said, story-wise, that's exactly what you would, kind of see happen. I myself have been a little bit surprised. It feels like almost a slow roll up the intrigue tracks to me. I guess in games that I have typically been a part of, that's a huge push.
On the Bene Gesserit specifically?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Alan, who is kind of establishing dominance, so to speak, with the Bene Gesserit, kind of scaring off the other players.
Right.
The Spacing Guild is really getting no action in this game.
Not at all, no.
Which changes once you add in some expansions.
Sure.
Rise of Ix, especially, and then with Dune Uprising also, Spacing Guild becomes far more important.
Sure.
So can't blame them
Right.
for only dabbling in the Spacing Guild.
Yeah.
But it is nice to hit 4 influence with the Spacing Guild because you get 3 Solari.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, sure enough.
Oh, so this
Yep,
every-
yeah, you need to
every-
resolve it. It's
oh.
just when you buy it.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
Liat
oh, yeah,
Kynes.
yeah, true.
Wow, Alan is probably happy. He's finally got a power card.
Right.
We were talking earlier about how Helena is a deck building leader, but Alan got off to a start where he got a trash card, a card that trashes other cards, but he
Right.
didn't get a power card. Now he has a potential power card in Liat Kynes.
Do you think that tempo-wise, he's still somewhat on the curve, or is he behind the curve a bit with that?
I think he's probably still slightly behind on the curve, although I could be wrong. The fact that he's going to get the Benny Gesserit Alliance, perhaps, without anybody challenging him
Sure.
is a big deal.
Okay.
I just don't know
So 1 point for green.
if he can survive without getting a Swordmaster. That's his biggest problem right now.
Yeah.
He can't compete in combats without a Swordmaster. It's named Swordmaster kind of for that reason.
Right, exactly.
Water.
Yep.
And Alan, you get a water. There you go.
So someone got
Sure, you
Stilgar.
remove your
Is that true? I saw Stilgar
Yep.
pop up.
Yep.
So
Alan.
June-
No, I'm sorry.
June
June
did?
did. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Spice
So that's
done.
2 big Fremen cards
It
walk this
is.
round. Stilgar and Liat Kynes.
And Alan. There you go.
June's deck is pretty scary.
And again, you think of the stamina it takes for these players. You know, just the amount of just focused
Okay, we'll
brain
build a
energy
conflict.
they've had to put in.
Yeah.
All right, so what do we have here for a
Great
conflict?
It's currently a tie, which is nice to see.
Yep.
June and James both at 5 points.
Okay, so raid stockpiles looks to be the new combat card.
This is almost going to be a breather for the players. It's the first conflict that has not awarded a victory point.
Yeah.
We're at a good pace.
Round 6, so we are, and this is almost literally a breather. It's like the calm before the storm,
Right.
because next round is round 7, which is when the big hitter conflict cards start to happen.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I think you're right. We're kind of in a build up for that final push.
Okay, here's, I'm gonna grab some water.
Yeah, so the Baron obviously has to be kind of happy with 6 troops
Sure.
in the garrison. Although I wonder, yeah, he spent the Solari to get those troops from rally troops. I wonder how close he was to getting a High Council seat. I guess he wasn't quite there.
Right.
Because that's another thing. I guess we do have one player with a High Council seat here. And that would be Alan with playing Helena, setting up for the Spice Must Flow strategy.
Sure, sure.
But yeah, I think James is having a strong game, except for the fact that he doesn't have a Swordmaster and doesn't have a High Council seat.
Right. Yeah, it's you feel like it's on the precipice, you know what I mean? Has been able to, again, make the best out of some, not great situations, but there's something that still needs to happen to really make it come through. I just don't know if he can sustain it at this point without.
It might come down to Mentat.
Yeah.
How often is he able to play to the Mentat to kind of give him a little bit more time to observe the combat?
Right.
And draw into the Spice Must Flow, perhaps, draw into Worm Riders. He has a lot of potential in his deck, but what if he gets blocked? What if somebody else goes to Mentat? Then, his plan could be negated.
Exactly. He's too, unfortunately, it seems like he's a little bit too dependent upon other things.
Okay, we're starting a carry-all play to which desert space? The Haga Basin, perhaps? So that would be a 4 spice haul plus any bonus spice that was there. That's a lot of spice for Yuka, who now has at least 7 spice, if not 8, sitting there. So maybe he's going to trigger his Master Stroke with the Highliner, which
Oh.
is exciting.
That would be exciting, yeah. Absolutely.
Just like the movie.
Sound effects. Final match. All right. There we go.
Have you read the Dune books, Mike?
I read the first 2 Dune books, and it was many moons ago.
Back when they came out in the 60s?
Not quite. Not quite there. Not too far off, though. No, I was probably high school age when I read the Dune books, and I did see the David Lynch film in the theaters.
Yep, me too.
So I do remember that vividly. And of course, I have seen the recent films. Did you come to this design with the love of Dune in mind, or was this something that was kind of, was it baked into the design, so to speak?
Love of Dune, yes.
Yes.
Wanted to bake it into the design.
Correct.
I threw out my first design for the game. I spent, a month and a half to 2 months designing a pure deck builder.
Okay.
Pure card deck builder, no board.
Wow. Okay.
Threw it out because I talked with my boss and I said, this is a good game. It's not a great game.
Yeah.
Can you give me more time?
Yeah, it can be a great game.
And he said yes.
That's
So
fantastic. Yeah, because honestly, the term hybrid style game, it's a little bit of a gray area term, but where it obviously has Euro underpinnings with deck building and the resource management and such. But there's also combat, a huge part of it.
yeah. And you could call the combat Euro as well. You
Yeah.
could call it bidding.
You could,
right?
absolutely.
Like, I don't personally like to call it
No,
bidding.
no,
Like,
it takes-
that's like if you are breaking it down mechanically and scientifically.
Right.
Because I hope that it feels like combat and it evokes emotions more than bidding does.
I can
but-
tell you that when I play, I am not thinking auction. I'm thinking blood.
Good. Blood in the sand.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean the fact that you have windows of opportunity to bid, I think,
Yes.
makes it sufficiently different from
I agree.
pure bidding.
Yeah, the tension is certainly there.
Yeah, there's got to be a lot of tension this round. Round 6 is typically a round where everybody's trying to assess what's going on, who's in the lead.
Right.
What am I going to have to do if that player starts to run away? What do I do if they are prepping for Highliner? Do I back off?
Yep.
Let them take this round and go for next round? That kind of stuff.
Especially with a combat card like this in the mix, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and you'd hope that nobody's going to overcommit this round for
Right.
this particular conflict.
Sure.
This is typically a round where you'll see, like, all right, the conflict is not that important, so it is more important for me to draw cards into a Spice Must Flow, perhaps?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I think if I were James, I would probably kind of suck it up and just get some Solari to
Right.
get a Swordmaster.
Yeah.
Even though it's late in the game, like, you don't really want to get a round 7 Swordmaster.
No.
But if the game is close enough and it goes to like 9 rounds, then it would have been worth it to get a round 7 Swordmaster.
Yes.
If it ends in round 7, obviously that was a horrible,
Yeah, of course. That's a
horrible
waste. Yeah.
payment.
Reconnaissance to Arakeen.
Reconnaissance to Arakeen, interesting because he controls Arakeen, so it's going to give him a Solari,
Yeah.
which will give him 5 Solari from the looks of it.
It looks
which
to be.
maybe he'll use that to go High Council and go for Spice Must Flow. He's got to decide, is he going to commit any troops here?
Right.
How much does he care about 2 Spice,
He's
3
committing
Spice?
one.
Yeah, he limps in and is looking to probably just get 1 or 2
I would think so. Yeah, he's just trying to.
Yeah, is he holding Worm Riders too? Is a question.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. He. I'll tell you what. He's certainly not going to let anybody know.
Right.
After that last.
You saw that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
He was
Oh
bluffing.
yeah. Okay.
Oh, he got another Solari from
Yep.
from Yuka visiting
You could
Carthage.
go in there. Yep.
It's good to be the count.
Yeah.
and
Indeed.
Control both cities on Arrakis.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just goes to the coffers.
So he has 6 Solari now. So theoretically, if he had Signet Ring in his hand, he could play Signet Ring to Mentat, go down to 4, but then go back up to 5 because his Signet Ring gives him a Solari,
Right.
and then go to High Council. Theoretically,
Sure.
If he's not in the frame of mind where he wants the Swordmaster.
Right. Is it 6 or 7? Spicy guys. Well, I think it is 6.
Yuka?
Yeah. I think
It looks like 7 or 8 to me.
Okay. Yuka gets passed. He has 3 troops in.
I think it's wise of him to commit his troops. You don't really want to be caught with too many troops in your garrison at Dune Imperium.
Yes.
How many intrigues is Yuka sitting on too? He just got another
He just
one.
drew one. Yeah.
I would expect him to be at full, but I may have missed some intrigue plays.
Sure. Sure. Well, I'll tell you, I'm not a fantastic Dune player by any means, but when I do play, the thing that I like to do is always have as many intrigue cards as possible because I want every other player to always be guessing. You know what I mean? I just want that implied threat. You know, and I think that a lot of times in games like this where combat is a part of it, the implied threat is almost as important as the actual threat that you have.
Right.
You know, you kind of force players to do something that they may not want to do, ideally. I just like having that feeling of making people wonder.
Mm-hmm. It's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't like the variance of intrigues, but what you're talking about, that kind of almost intimidation,
That's
and,
kind of what it is.
fear factor,
Right.
is pretty important.
Yeah, because every so often, one of the more satisfying plays in this game, I think, is just pulling out an intrigue card that changes everything, because that absolutely can and will happen in this game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'd love to see a high impact intrigue card come out here, especially for Yuka.
Yeah,
like that's he's got almost nothing going on in this game. He's way
kinda,
behind.
He kind of needs that high impact play. June is playing a intrigue card.
Oh, he played an intrigue card that gives him an influence with the Spacing Guild. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. And a point as well.
So he takes the lead. Guild authorization.
Okay, yeah.
And he's taking the Great Flat Spice.
Well, hold on. Right.
Oh, I see why he did it.
Good.
Because he was setting up for playing a Smuggler's Thopter, which is so that's now going to let him draw 2 cards because he needed the second influence with the guild.
Right, to be able to do that. Yep.
So he's probably digging for Kwisatz Haderach.
Yeah,
I guess.
I would think so.
Other players asking to look at his discard. No, he's got Kwisatz in his discard pile. So he cleared. So James knows that June did not draw Kwisatz.
Right. No.
Oh wow! Big commitment.
Wow. That was an aggressive move.
It was. It was. Leaving him with nothing in his garrison just for raid stockpiles. I mean, winning this is not bad. 3 spice and an intrigue is...
Okay.
He was asking a clarification there.
full space. I trash the spice must flow.
Alan crashing a Spice Must Flow, which is it's a fun thing to do in Dune because you get the point immediately when you earn the Spice Must Flow. So then trashing it is like, yeah, I got the point.
Right.
I don't need the
That's
card.
what he was asking. He was asking a clarification. Hey, do I lose the point?
Okay.
That works. Okay, and then you want to trash this?
Yes, that's
All right.
good.
I'm going to keep it here just for game record.
Yep.
If that runs out, I'll be impressed.
Yep.
Yeah, no, this
Okay.
reiterating the judge is doing a particularly good job in this game.
Yeah, making sure that points are being scored properly.
Right, and giving the players confidence that nothing is being
I grab
missed.
a full space card. I want a full space. I saw.
Yeah, grab
Yeah.
Do you discard?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. It's not in play either. It is in the one is all right here.
Go to
There you go.
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Okay. Yeah.
However, I do want you to please. Here, let's straighten her out. I want you to keep this in here because you usually reveal here.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
And then we don't want to add that to your reveal.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. Sure.
Again, yeah, it's just,
Good house cleaning.
it really is.
That's okay.
Anticipating problems before they occur.
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
smart.
Play Shifting Allegiances.
Shifting allegiances. This could
Oh,
be
here we
big.
go. Let's see how he plays this.
Is this a Fremen steal?
Okay. 3 Solari, so I exchange a 2 for a 5.
Okay.
Spend 2 spice. For Shifting
So he is
Allegiances.
building for Swordmaster, I think,
Yeah.
by getting 3.
And Jesuit.
Going down in Bene Gesserit, and he is going for the steal.
Oh my.
Sorry,
So-
up 1.
Yes.
Green will go down 1.
Interesting.
So James steals a point from June.
Yep.
I think that's wise. He sees how well June is
Oh,
playing,
yes.
and he just
absolutely.
wants to target him.
Yeah, absolutely. Just keep the heat on.
June obviously a little disappointed by that, but he
Sure.
probably is also thinking, yeah, but I would have done the same thing.
Absolutely.
If I were in that
Absolutely.
scheme.
Yeah.
But James is kind of paying a cost for this, right? He has now 3 points on the tracks,
Right.
Yeah.
but he's at 0 influence with the Bene Gesserit and 0 influence with the Spacing Guild. So is he even going to be able to get both of those points?
Exactly.
And he's not at the top of the Fremen, so June could pressure him back
Yes.
to force him to waste more energy.
Yep. Imperial Spy.
One of my favorite cards in the base game. It's so easy to buy. It's cost 2. It goes to the Emperor, and you trash it for an extra intrigue.
Right.
What's not to like?
Yep.
I guess what's not to like is you're not really making your deck better. Like,
Sure.
it's not an engine building card.
No,
but
it is not.
It's still a fun card.
It is fun. I mean, there's enough, and yeah, gosh, you could draw another intrigue.
Oh, wow. He went to conspire,
He's drawing another intrigue.
and it looks like he still has 6 spice, so he must have been sitting on 10 spice.
My goodness. All right, so yeah, he did get a point there.
Is he above 3 intrigue cards now? Because that is not something you are happy to have, especially when other people really want to go to the Bene Gesserit.
Right.
Right now, like, everybody is happy to go to Bene Gesserit, so everybody's going to be happy to go to Secrets
Yep.
to get a steal of an intrigue from the Baron.
He's got 4.
I'm guessing he has some bad luck intrigues, because typically you go up to 4, you have 1 plot card that you
Yep.
can play.
Right.
I hate to say it, but I hope he knows that rule.
I hope so
about
too.
stealing.
Yeah, I do too. Well, again, this was a game that no one vetoed, but we don't know how experienced they all are in this. We
Right.
just don't know.
Yeah. We clearly know, just based on observation, that Alan doesn't know the ins and outs,
Sure.
the nuances of how you take certain turns.
Correct.
but he's doing quite well for himself despite that lack of expertise.
Yep.
Yuka's asked a couple times about the Baron's power.
Yep.
We were wondering earlier whether it was like part of some kind of bluff.
A ruse.
Like, don't worry about me.
Yep.
Question. But it might just be that he's not that experienced with the game.
But what makes it interesting is that it does seem like there's nobody here that is just leaps and bounds above the others in terms of their kind of experience level with the game. So it still feels like a pretty tight game here.
Agreed. Really tight game.
Okay, June gets right back up there.
Yeah. And he interestingly, he went to Benny Gesserit, but he didn't go to Secrets.
No.
He went to Selective Breeding, which is understandable.
Sure.
He wants to reshuffle the Kwisatz card and some of his other good cards. I think he bought Stilgar earlier too. So Stilgar's great to reveal in an important combat.
Yeah.
He has to see the discard pile before he shuffles.
So he is reshuffling, so he could draw into Kwisatz Haderach on this draw.
Mm-hmm.
Probably good to have a poker face no matter what he draws.
Yeah, absolutely. They've all been pretty good at that.
Alan cuts his deck after the shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
Card.
Judge is asking for a slight pause here to check on something.
This is your swords in it, right? That's your third. Or did you see how they played it? No, I haven't. Sorry. Yeah. I made you
Oh,
pay
he
the cost.
didn't.
Didn't make you play the card.
He sent the agent, but he
Didn't
forgot
play
to
the
play the
card.
card.
Where'd you shuffle it in? Okay.
A review for 7. Or Spice Must Flow card.
7 for Spice Must Flow is not something I typically hear. Does he have?
Yep. Spice Must Flow.
I guess he just didn't announce that he has 2 from the High Council, and that's how he's getting the Spice Must Flow.
Got it. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Anything else?
Gosh, a three-way tie at 6.
All right.
Wow. Come on, Yuka.
Yeah, Yuka's got to get in there. I would
Keep
love
his
for
pace
him
up
to
will
do a
be
power
okay.
move, just to get something in there to just shake things up.
4 o'clock.
I'm gonna reveal for.
The thing is, I think it feels
Persuasion plus.
like you can see
I
what
think
everyone
mine's
is
6,
really planning to
7.
do, except for Yuka. Like, Yuka, I still feel like it's a mystery, a little bit of an enigma
And
going
a
on.
friendly bond because
Oh
he was
my.
11.
Did you
So I'll
see
go
that jump?
Yes, this is amazing.
James went from 2 strength to 9 strength with a reveal.
with 3 persuasion. No, I won't buy anything.
Wow, that was a big play.
Yeah, it could be big if June can't come back from this. This is another combat in
Right.
which James has come over the top of June.
Yeah.
You get the sense that June and James are the ones who are most experienced in the game, and
Yeah.
they are kind of taking punches at each other,
Correct.
which could let the other
That's the thing.
twos get
Every
in
so
here.
often, sometimes that'll just open a door, and. But yes, they do seem to be focusing most on each other.
They are the ones with, well, no, one of them has a sword master. It's amazing to me that James is doing
really
this well
is.
without a sword master.
It really is.
But he now has enough Solari that next round I expect to see him pull the trigger on it, even though it's round 7.
Right.
Yep.
Maybe Yuka, I mean, with all those intrigue cards,
I'm telling
he's
you.
probably sitting on a combat
He's
card,
got to
right?
be, right? He's
Like,
got 4 of them.
Would you spend 1 combat card here to win this conflict?
In this conflict, I don't know that I would. Especially with as much as we've got. I'm trying to think of who's green again. I'm sorry.
Green is June, I believe.
Yeah, just the number already that he's committed in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cost.
I think it's a close call.
Yeah.
You get an intrigue back if you win this conflict.
Right.
I wouldn't burn like my best combat card.
Yeah, right. Maybe if there's a low level or a mid level.
Or if I had multiple combat cards and
Sure.
I felt confident that I have enough ammunition anyway.
Yes.
Because you'd be boxing out 2 of your opponents by jumping up 3 here.
That's a very good point. Yeah, that's a very good point. And like you said, if he is aware that those cards are ripe to be stolen, you don't.
Yeah.
You might as well play
Play-
them and get
play
the
a
use
little
out of
safer.
them.
Oh, look at this Benny Gesserit. Did he just he just played Kwisatz Haderach to double up? Is that right? Do I see 2 green agents on selective breeding?
The other thing is
So
that
he basically top decked Kwisatz after that.
yeah, that's
couple.
amazing. That is amazing. And
Oh, you want to resolve that first? Yes.
Yuka has 3 troops in. If he has the intrigue card that allows him to retreat for a point.
Yeah, it's not just retreat for a point. It's called stage instant. You have to destroy,
Got it.
lose 3 of your
Oh,
troops.
right there, the staged incident.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, this would be the round to play it.
Mhm.
Although, if he's going to play it, I would have liked to have seen him push 4 troops in so that he could at least
Still
get a spice for having a
Yes,
troop in.
right.
But yeah, this would be a round to play it if he had it. Especially once things shake out and I'm in 3rd.
You're right.
I'll trade a spice for a point.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's a pretty good return on your investment there.
Yeah. But the Benny Gesserit track is now looking weird and exciting at the same time. 2 people at 0 and 2
Yeah.
people at 3.
Yep. To draw 2.
All right. Would you like to do anything else this turn?
So,
Soon as
review it again.
I review.
Okay. Good turn.
I guess that, it was a lucky draw into Kwisatz, but he was unlucky earlier and
Yes.
stranded it at the bottom of his deck.
and these
so-
things do tend to kind of even themselves out over time.
Certainly over hundreds of games.
Maybe not over one game.
Over one game, I've
Yeah.
seen it go either way.
Yes, that is true. And for them, this is the one game that matters.
Yeah. It's exciting.
It really is. Is that a Spice
Oh, a
Must Flow
Spice
card?
Must Flow also. So now he actually takes the outright lead despite having been passed on the Fremen track. And in the meantime, I missed this, but James did take the top influence rank on the Fremen track. So James is unstealable now on
Got
Fremen.
it. So he keeps that point regardless.
Everybody's revealed? Okay. Let's resolve the battle. Player 1, intrigue.
So June ended up with swords also. So this is a huge round for June.
Yes.
Because if nothing happens here, he takes first place here as well.
3 swords for yellow.
Okay.
Over here. Oh, sorry. Bleed.
Oh,
Yuka added
Yuka
3.
playing something. Master.
Okay. Green.
I can't read it. Probably Master Technician if he got 3 swords with it.
Yuka.
Might explain why he didn't put in that 4th
Wait, I
troop.
don't think he can play
Yeah,
anymore. Because he
Yeah.
passed after playing the first Master Tactician, so if we all...
So James is
Wait, did you?
No,
Sorry.
James is
played a
incorrect
card. You-
with
you
what he's
passed.
saying.
You
I-
pass.
I
Back
passed.
down. What's the problem?
Okay, sorry, I thought
Yeah.
you were able to play
You can't get back in.
Huh?
You can't get back into
the
cards. if you
intrigue
pass.
stuff.
But he hasn't passed yet.
Oh,
Yeah, he played a card.
uh-huh.
June passed. You passed.
Okay,
Back then. He hasn't passed yet.
right.
Yeah, the judge is correct.
Yeah.
But,
What are you talking about?
You guys should have started the intrigues first. Wait, what? No? Sorry, say that again. Are you talking about?
Yeah,
Because
you
he's the,
played it
he's
first,
the first
right?
player.
Yeah.
So I believe that I believe that you could play multiple intrigues when it's your turn to play your intrigues, but then once you move on, then if everyone passes, then like
But everyone has to pass.
as in
James is
So,
misunderstanding the
beginning of
rule here.
combat,
He
okay,
thinks
plays
that
this
if
card.
you play an intrigue card and then everybody else passes, it's over.
It's over.
But it's
Luca would've
technically
passed.
not.
Because you haven't, the one
Okay,
person
it
that
would
played
be
did
over.
not pass.
Doesn't pass, you can play another card.
Yes.
In most
yeah,
games,
you know what I mean?
that tends to happen.
I might get the
But
just like
Oh, yeah,
one,
yeah,
one
sure.
minute.
yeah, James wants to check the rule book.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk about
We have the designer here, so we know what the answer will be, but I understand the stakes are high. It makes, I think it's a reasonable request.
Sure.
Maybe they're going to run and take a bit of a bathroom break or just step away from the table a little bit.
Yeah. What's a little weird is that James is questioning it, but if Yuka plays another intrigue card, it would be hurting June. So I'm not sure that he
Right.
actually strategically
Should even be
wants to be questioning
this. Yeah, that's a good point. It's a really good point. But again, just a big appreciation for the judges that are on top of this so well. They're taking care of housekeeping, they're taking care of rules questions, they're staying on track with points. It's
and different games have different rules for the same situation, so it's
Absolutely.
really hard to be a judge for this many games.
especially with this amount of, well, let's just use the terminology, skin in the game here, right?
Sure.
There's a significant amount of money involved, and so I think players are all very concerned about having everything done exactly by the book, so to speak.
And I totally understand James's point.
100%.
It is a weird nuance to the game that you can play an intrigue card. In this case, the reason why is he passed a player. He wants to know if that player is going to come back and counter him.
Absolutely.
And then if he doesn't, all right, I'm going to try to pass another player.
Yep. Yeah. No, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Don't move while you're thinking. Start to just kind of freeze up a little bit.
While we have a moment and they're just kind of double checking on things, why don't we take a moment to take a look and learn a little bit about, you see that lovely game theory table we're playing on? Let's learn a little bit more about those. All right, the players are back at the table. Got the question resolved, and Paul, it's been a pleasure to get a little bit of insight.
Likewise.
Well, a lot of insight from you about this game. I'm going to pass it over to Alex from Board Game Co., and he gets to share the wealth of your knowledge here. So it was a pleasure.
It's fun. So it looks like they're back in the game here as Alex takes his seat.
Hello, Paul.
Hi, Alex.
How's
How
it
are you
going?
doing?
Doing great. Doing great. How about you so far?
James?
Nope.
Pass.
So have you been watching this game as it's unrolled?
Intensely. Intensely. It seems very, very serious. It's almost like there's stakes on the line. Although speaking of stakes, one thing we haven't heavily talked about is the little metagame here
Wow.
of shooting for second place. Like, there's money on the line for this game.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Like, at a certain point, you might be forced to make decisions not about whether to go for first, but whether a play might get locked in second, or be the difference between first and third.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
By the way, you appear to look at this
He didn't have any.
Oh,
moment
it's very exciting.
where Yuka is playing
Sorry, what?
3
You didn't know
combat
how many
cards, I
cards he
believe.
had?
So speaking of, Mike just said, that take advantage of your expertise.
He didn't
Do you think Yuka has a chance?
All right, well,
He was
Um,
them up. you can ask.
So yeah, you. Can
I
always
don't
ask how
want to
many a
be
player has.
overly
There's no set
negative, but
place
if
to
I'm
put 'em.
being
You
honest,
can look through 'em.
he's burning
You've already
3
asked for
intrigue
discard
cards right
pile
here to
multiple times,
win
so
a
you can always
conflict that's
ask
going to give him 3
how many
spice and an
total.
intrigue
Yeah.
card
I'm sorry you didn't
for
notice
winning.
that,
He
but
does
yeah,
knock the other players down a bit, but I think this might
know.
be a tactical mistake on his
All you
part.
have to do
So
is
I
ask how
think
many a player has. That's
I think his
really
chances
all you
are
do.
low. I don't think he's
Yeah.
out of it.
Can't keep them
He's
out.
gonna have to get lucky. Like you might need to see some like tied conflicts for him to claw his way back into this game, where other people fight really hard for 2 points and both tie and nobody gets any points. That could be the kind of thing that would knock him back into contention.
Because instinctively I'm seeing two things. I'm seeing obviously the point differential, the current combat, and then I also know there's obviously going to be having those 2 pointers coming up shortly, and he does have the most troops in reserve.
True, and he has still a lot of spice. I can't quite tell, but if he wins this, he'll have 3 more, so he'll might have enough for a highliner next round.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've noticed, but he hasn't triggered his master stroke this game.
Yeah.
So he's still sitting on potential energy that he can just kind of unleash. So maybe I'm wrong, not giving him much of a chance.
I mean, I'm instinctively
Draw an
I
entry card.
think he doesn't, but also like that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, how much pull can a player have? How far back have you ever seen a player
From the supply.
and still take the lead?
You got your one? I got my one. All right. Let's bring this off.
Good question.
Here,
I think
and
Hugo
let's
might
put
be
spice
at exactly 5
basin
spice, which
on
is
the flat.
1 short of the
At
highliner,
the end of the round.
which could be important.
Everyone recall your agents.
Although he might just
Board, and
go
we'll reveal
to
another
Fremen
conflict.
to trigger his master stroke because he needs that point with a Fremen anyway.
And we have a 2-pointer combat out.
Yeah. Which location is this combat for?
Green.
Imperial
Imperial
Basin.
Basin.
Troop
So yeah, it looks like somebody is getting a defensive troop here.
Which you control.
The judge,
June.
right on top of things, telling the
we need to
players.
do the casualties. Yep. So yeah, there you go. There we go.
June gets a troop as a defense bonus
Basin is
for
already
controlling the basin, but he has no troops in his garrison.
It's going to be.
No, he has 2 strings.
Do you think? I mean, do you have a
Because
sense
of
of
the,
who
trigger.
has the highest chance of winning this game?
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm biased towards well,
give
biased
you
towards a lot
your
of things,
pieces.
but obviously June has the starting lead, which definitely it's a good starting point. Obviously, where everything else is going to matter. He's also coming off of being the winner of Castle of Burgundy, which is one of my favorite games. I'm like, that means you're a good player. Everyone here is a good player, but like just my own personal biases.
I like Castle of Burgundy a lot. My wife and I play that from time to time. It's a very good game.
And I think you need to pass the worm. Yeah, I got it.
Now here's an interesting question for you. I think we've talked about it loosely at points during the stream, but obviously Dune Imperium Uprising is going to be replacing Dune Imperium in future WSBG tournaments. You've already had the opportunity to see experienced Dune players have to tackle Uprising in a tournament.
I have.
How is that for the players? Like going from something they know so well, having to adapt to familiar yet different.
I think it went over well. I think competitive players who focus on one game especially quite enjoy seeing some disruption and some table flipping on their favorite game. So I think they really enjoyed kind of sinking their teeth into a new version of Dune Imperium, and a little bit meatier version, like a little bit more decision making and strategizing because of the worms and because of every guild matters. Every 2 influence for all 4 tracks matters in Uprising.
It's fascinating because you mentioned like almost being happy to see that chaos, and I was just talking going back to Castle of Burgundy. Like, I'm a huge fan of the game. I've played all the expansions. I think I'm good at the game. Not this level good, but I'm good at the game. But the idea of being competitive, if you threw in the vineyards, I'm like, I have no clue. I can play vineyards. I can't play vineyards competitively.
But do you enjoy throwing yourself at something new? Is I thought the question you were asking.
Yes, but not if you introduce it as like, hey, this is where you're competing.
Oh,
I'd
sure.
have to-
Like rug pull. You didn't know you were gonna have this.
I'd have to completely shift to playing vineyards for like 2 years to feel like I have that advantage again.
Wow, is it that different?
I mean, I
haven't played vineyards.
I don't practice the games at this level. So for me, 2 years of play means a play every 2 or 3 weeks, and maybe. If you're really like, I mean, we've seen in this tournament, we've seen people who said that they picked up and learned a game 3 months ago and then played it nonstop to be able to be competitive and come out in the lead in these things. Like, there is a degree of precision and training and research and really looking into the strategies and learning everything you possibly can about the ins and outs of something.
Sure.
It's a different way of approaching a game.
Yeah, personally, I like testing players' abilities to pivot and dance on the fly, like react to situations and not put them in like the same position they were in the past, and they're almost going by memory on what to do. I like to see them really try to figure out what is the current situation, how is this different from the past, how does that affect my decision making. And I think Dune Imperium, just the base game, is very replayable because different cards appear. Like, which cards did you buy this time, and what does that mean to your strategy? Okay, June making a play for the Space and Guild Alliance from the looks of it, as he goes up to 3 there. So he might basically be punting on fighting here because he's kind of outgunned, and he's just trying to maneuver himself into getting politics points. Like, he's 1 step away from the alliance with the Space and Guild. He's 1 step away from the Bene Gesserit alliance. He played space travel. Is that true? Or yeah. So he didn't have an opportunity to take the Bene Gesserit alliance with that play. So he took what he could, and he drew a card. Makes sense. And now Alan is almost telling him, stay away from the Bene Gesserit with his play.
You're resolving your card?
Yeah.
Announce it again.
Everyone lose a card or deploy troop.
Test of humanity again. Okay. It really hurts in this late game. We might see June actually lose his troop from the battle here instead of discarding a card. It depends what he drew, obviously. But I would be tempted to do that if I had a chance on the Spice Must Flow. It looks like, all right, June had a Spice Must Flow in hand, so we just discarded it. Looks like Yuka is discarding a Reconnaissance, and I couldn't quite tell what James discarded.
No, your card. That's not deployed.
Yeah, it's deployed. It's not deployed.
And what's next?
Exile this card.
You're gonna trash this?
Yeah,
Okay.
Spice Must Flow.
Right.
And I get 2 cards.
Resolving the space, yep.
So Alan basically is going to get a point for the Bene Gesserit alliance. He's probably digging to hope for a Spice Must Flow, so that could put him at 8 points.
Yeah.
At the end of this round. Okay, hopefully he remembers to take his intrigue card for reaching 4 influence.
It is a fascinating little minigame at this point, with the players in the lead almost needing to bait out Yuka's force. And the question is, which players do that? Because any players that don't go up against him inherently means he can get a little easier time getting those points. So there has to be some degree of commitment on the battlefield, but that could open up the other players to having those resources in check.
Did you see Alan draw an intrigue card there? Because he should have by reaching 4 influence. Unfortunately, I don't think he did.
And was it Alan earlier who missed his intrigue card draw?
I think it was James who played Piter, which gives an intrigue, and he played it to a spot that gave him an intrigue. He played it to Carthag, so he took an intrigue, and I think that he kind of had a little bit of an issue where he thought, like, oh, I got my intrigue, but he actually deserved 2. Whoa, the Baron has way too many troops in his garrison right now. He might be sitting on rapid mobilization, which is the intrigue card that lets you just push any number of troops into the battle as a plot card. I hope that he has it, because in Dune Imperium it can be a disadvantage to have. Okay, he just went to Highliner and pushed everything, so he's triggering his Master Stroke now. Finally. Judge making sure he takes the Spacing Guild bump. Looks like he's got Fremen and Emperor with his Master Stroke. So that's why he was avoiding the Fremen, because he knew he had it in his back pocket with Master Stroke, so he didn't want to waste any energy on the Fremen track. So, maybe he's a relatively inexperienced player to Dune Imperium, but he played that quite well. And he's probably going to win this combat. Like, who could contend here? Possibly James with Worm Riders, maybe?
Do we know his intrigue cards?
No, I think we only know what he has played.
Like that level of commitment, I wonder if he'd pull back.
Yeah, I mean, it's risky, but when you're behind, you sometimes have to take chances. But even putting 6 troops in, it looks like, maybe 7.
6. 7, you're correct.
Even after pushing 7, he has 4 in his garrison, so he's kind of okay doing this, I think.
But that's why I'm uncertain. Like on the one hand, just looking at the tracks, it seems he'd have to really commit to pull ahead. But he does have the resources to place off.
Yeah.
So, the bottom. So
The real tricky part is I think by doing so, I think he will push himself back into competition, but he'll have expended everything to do so.
Yeah.
That will leave the other players who have been saving and biding their time past his moves.
Yeah. I think pushing 7 is fine. If you look at the Emperor track, for example, like he wants to get the Emperor Alliance, right? And when he does, he's going to get 2 more troops for that. So I think his rate of incoming troops in the future is high enough that he's not really taking a big risk here. It would arguably, to me, be a bigger risk to undercommit and then he's just dead.
Yeah.
If he doesn't win this.
Yep.
And that goes back to what I said at the beginning, in this game, this particular game, we're not just fighting for the first place. There is a difference between first and second and third and fourth. I don't know about your game group, but my game group, it's first place or nothing. It doesn't matter after that. But this is a different kind of situation.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say, and even some of the kind of unofficial Dune tournaments that I've seen run tend to award first very heavily, and second, yeah, good job, but let's give all the props to first. We've implemented some tournaments with Dune Imperium Digital recently. They just kind of came out in the last week, but basically, if you're first, you get 2 stars. And if you're second, you get 1 star. Third and fourth get nothing. So we kind of made a nod to second is
place.
good, but you get double for winning. James feeling the
He's a
intensity there.
point behind, but at this point it all matters. He has a few more troops than June and Allen.
And he basically just played 2 secrets, and now back to Yuka. Here we go.
Yuka's going up.
In fact, actually, he's gonna waste a troop here, I believe, because you only have 12 troops in Dune Imperium.
Yellow gains point.
He is getting the Emperor Alliance, earning 2 troops, but he only has 1 troop in his supply, so he's kind of burning one. But you got to take the opportunities in front of you. Maybe he feels like he can't turn down that alliance. It's a point.
I mean, he's poised for 2 alliances there.
Yeah, it looks like. I mean, he's essentially, according to the score track, if he wins this, he's going to be tied for first. But we don't know how many points the other players are going to get. I would expect to see some Spice Bus Flow acquisitions this round from the players who know that they can't fight for this combat. Which is a big difference, I think, between high-level play, Dune Imperium, and lower-level play. Lower-level play, you don't tend to see as much optimizing for Spice Must Flows at the right times. And that does mean that high-level play games are faster because more points are being earned per round by the average player at the table.
Speaking of faster, how's the speed and tempo of this game gone compared to other tournaments you've seen?
This is right around on track, maybe a little low scoring just by a touch. The fact that some players are still looking for 2 points on the politics tracks, whereas typically by round 7 I would want to have all 4 of my markers on those tracks at 2 and hopefully an alliance. But a lot of that comes down to variance, what cards did you get?
Yeah. A review for 8.
For the most part, this game is a little slower, I think, because 2 players eschewed Swordmaster. And Swordmaster, I think, is very important to getting bursts of energy later in the game.
Yeah, so you're good.
We do see Alan pulling ahead.
Yeah, good for him. He's we called it out earlier where he's kind of taking this spice must flow strategy, which is a reliable strategy. Like, we're seeing him with the lead at this point, but we are not yet seeing the 2-point conflict wins. We're about to start seeing those.
I mean, he has at least 1 point in the reserves on the Alliance tracks.
Where's that? He's
Top
Emperor.
track.
Yeah. So next round, Alan could easily get to 10 by just finishing his Emperor
And then Spice Must Flow.
and a Spice Must Flow, and then it's a question of is 10 points enough?
Yeah. Because
But-
June has an Alliance in reserve easily. And
Yeah.
possibly if he works a little hard, the Emperor track could be 2 movements up, but that'd be very hard to get the next round.
Yeah, I think June is maybe more likely to try to steal the Bene Gesserit alliance from Alan.
That would be a nice shift.
There goes Yuka taking his 6th point. So if he wins, he gets to 8.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's the kind of. So this is the thing. Like that's exactly the kind of jump that I'm wondering about. Like because we saw the math that he can make the jumps. I think we don't know is how far he has to push. What kind of expansion does he have to have? And like we said that before, there's an extra 5 troops on the table too.
Yeah.
So it is. Like I still don't think it's his game, but it's certainly not nearly as far apart as it might have looked at first glance.
Yeah.
You have 5 and 12.
He collects a bunch of spice with the 2 water he got from the Highliner, and he's back up to, it looks like 5 spice, which is 1 short of being able to kind of go back-to-back Highliner round to round, which is always strong if you can pull it off.
Oh, you good?
Stilgar? Was that a Stilgar play? Or a reveal?
Yeah, for those just tuning in, the names did just flash on screen, but we have James as the red player, currently tied for last place, although again it is minute by minute here. We have Yuka as the yellow player, who is seeing a bit of a comeback right now, and then June and Alan definitely seeming in contention. June is green and Alan is blue. Alan just taking a point to jump ahead, but everyone has a few points in reserves right now, so it is a very tight game, and it might change drastically 5 minutes from now.
Our production crew is pointing out that what if Alan has corner of the market? Like, corner of the market is worth 2 points if you have at least 2 Spice Must Flows and more Spice Must Flows than everybody else. Alan could be sitting
wow.
Essentially, if he gets to 10 next round. Oh, but he did, right, like that's a good point, crew. He did trash a Spice Must Flow, so that lessens the probability that he has corner of the market, because are you really going to trash a Spice Must Flow if you're sitting on corner of the market?
Okay, go ahead and put your strength at 6.
6 plus 7.
So, wow, look at that.
Yeah, I mean, Yuka has the 5 spice
Worm
down there.
Riders gave +6 swords here, but he's still behind Yuka, so wow, close. If James has any combat intrigues, it's possible he could win this from being down by 4 troops in the combat.
I mean, if James takes the win from Yuka in this combat, that's got to be deflating.
You don't want to buy? Okay. All right, here, give me the...
Not for James.
Not for James.
Everybody revealed, right?
That is a fair point.
Okay, let's move to the resolve the combat. And
Yeah,
start
we're
with you.
if Yuka wins this, then
Okay.
yeah, the 2 players we're kind of talking about earlier as the ones who were kind of punching each other are actually going to be tied for last.
Yuka gets 2.
Because Yuka's going to take 2 points here to tie Alan,
And then you get to swap out
leaving
your flag.
June and James 1 point behind them.
I'll give this back to June. All right.
So
And
yeah,
then
that's a way
James, you get 5
anybody
spice.
can be in this game when some of the leaders start punching each other.
Give this to Yuka.
And he still has 5 troops in reserve. That's like the thing that
Let's
is.
spice.
Yeah.
It is not a small deal.
Oh, did you already do it?
Not yet.
So
Oh, yeah.
the question in my mind is who is sitting on enough spice for the first turn Highliner?
Spice.
And I believe James has 6.
Battle for
And I can't
Carthage.
tell if June has 5 or 6. 3. It looks like 6.
6.
James,
So they both have enough for Highliner.
you started 2 strings. And recall your agents, please.
So James gets the defensive
This round,
troop.
we're going to do 1 minute turns. But if you don't make a decision at the end of that, you're going to pass without playing an agent. So you're going to
The
lose
judge
that agent.
starting
You
to
won't be out of the
institute some
round.
time control here.
Everybody understand
So
that?
this is round 8. So I believe the first player marker should go to Alan,
Like, sure, yeah, like if you have to shuffle or something, I'm going to pause it.
which means that
But
James has the first crack
I'll
at the
know if you're
highliner
taking
this
a
round.
minute to think.
And this nearly
We wanna do
nearly
that.
has to be the last
get
round.
this
Anything's
done.
possible, especially with
Oh, I
time.
agree with you.
Everybody?
It's, I mean, a tie at this point
And
would be
first
a little
player,
insane,
move
but
to
yeah.
Alan. There you go. And this.
I mean, so it looks like James is probably getting highliner.
Yeah, it's really interesting because he wants the highliner because he wants to win, but he's not going to get a point with the Spacing Guild if he does. But he also blocks June from going to highliner, and June could just easily win the game if he gets the highliner this round because he gets the Spacing Guild Alliance and if he can get the win, that's just like 3 points right there. But that only puts him at 10, so it also depends what else he can do. Does he have Kwisatz Haderach is another big question.
Now you mentioned at the very beginning of the stream, you mentioned that Kwisatz Haderach was possibly one of the stronger cards. What do you think is the strongest card in Dune?
I think Kwisatz is the strongest card if you get it early.
Good.
The strongest card that you can acquire late in the game that has high impact, other than the Spice Must Flow, is Chome Directorship.
Okay.
Because when you acquire it, you get an influence with each of the factions. So that's
What is that? Is that
kind
okay?
of like getting 2 points with one vibe. Not exactly.
Okay.
That's an 8 cost card?
What are you resolving?
8, yeah. So those are the 2 8-cost cards in the game.
I'm far from an expert at Dune, but I do love that
Sounds
card.
right.
I joked earlier that
James.
Lady Jessica is almost like an 8-cost card, but she has a 7 printed on her instead of 8 because she's like really strong.
No,
I don't
you're
think
resolving
she's
this
as strong as them. It's
Just
really
discard a
just
card or
per
lose
pound,
one.
like her cost power level is very high. Liet Kynes can be an insane power level for a 5-cost card because you get an Emperor influence, and it can reveal for like 2 Spice Must Flows sometimes.
Let me
So
ask a question. Did you discard you? June? Okay. All 3 players have discarded. Now, what do you want to do next?
For this, do I draw?
So, yes, you definitely have to pay the cost first.
Okay.
And then you can draw 2 cards. All right?
Judge doing a good job, making sure they're following the rules. Alan again going to selective breeding, so he's just going for another Spice Must Flow here, I guess, and protecting his Bene Gesserit alliance.
Now you may draw 2 cards. Do you have any other?
That's it.
Yes.
Move up by 1.
Yes, that's true. Do you have any other effects?
That's it. That's it.
Okay, pass the card to James if you're done.
All right, so this is the moment of truth in my mind. Like, does James have Spacing Guild access? No. Or he chooses not to if he does. He's going Mentat, which does make sense,
Is your favorite space?
but he's not getting a Swordmaster. He didn't get Swordmaster last round. That would have been the round for him to get it anyway. But very strong for Ilban to get the Mentat. It gives him a lot of cards. He'll probably get a Spice Must Flow, but this opens the way for June to potentially secure the game if he can go to Highliner.
Move down with Bene Gesserit and up with Bene Gesserit.
I will say, like, I don't think this is Yuka's game, but I'm kind of rooting for him. Like, just given how far back he was in the track, I like the little underdog story of the whole round being like, written off and then possibly coming in for the win.
I agree, yeah.
It's a great little story. I don't know if it'll happen, but it's a great little story.
Yeah, the delayed master stroke is a quirky approach, but I love it. Love the role playing aspect of it.
26. All right. Okay.
And some would say, like, the information that you're hiding for longer is valuable. So Yuka does go. I mean, I expect to see him go to combat space at least twice this round. He wants to get those garrison troops into the battle.
Now, and this is where maybe I'm just can't think through enough, but like, is there any reason at this point in the game, from your opinion, if you're at the table, is there any reason to hold back from putting as many troops as possible into combat?
If you think it's the last round, the
That's what I'm
answer
saying.
is no.
And do you think the game state, like right now, if you were at the table, would you be holding back at all? Would you be pulling
No.
a single punch?
No. No, I think it would be a quirk of fate if the game does not end this round.
That's, yeah. I mean, that's my expert opinion too. I'm just sitting next to Paul here, so I think I'll get a double second opinion.
Like you do sometimes hit those weird quirks of fate when there's a tie in a conflict like this, and somebody else can only get to 9 and not 10. There we go. June plays diplomacy, goes to eyeliner, spends all of his spice, gets the alliance with the Spacing Guild.
Look at that score.
4-way tie.
Look at that score.
But the most important thing here is he's getting 5 troops that can get thrown right into the conflict, along with the 2 from his garrison. So that puts him at 14 strength after his first turn. So James has pulled off incredible reveals before. Will he be able to fight against this? Will Yuka be able to fight against this?
Right, Ellen?
You kind of know Alan's not. Alan's just been like, nope, I'm not doing that fighting thing. I'm doing Spice Plus Flows.
I mean, they have to play different games to an extent, and we still see on the Emperor track, Alan still has a point in reserve.
Right. So I cannot take the meta if I do that.
You won't take him as an agent. You can go to the space. Legal play.
Okay. Hopefully Alan doesn't go to the Mentat without taking the Mentat.
Yeah, that's the rule. Okay. Oh, usually play Mentat. Okay.
I think he was thinking that he could steal the Mentat away from James, which
no.
I don't think that would be a fun mechanic. I wouldn't have allowed Helena to exist. You could steal the Mentat from somebody who took the Mentat.
20 seconds.
Yeah, as you just heard over there, like they are all running on a 1-minute timer right now. Which,
yeah.
It's always complicated balancing that. On the one hand, you always want to give the players as much agency as possible, take their time. On the other hand, at a certain point, the games have to hit a certain speed.
Victory point.
Yeah. Well, he found a victory point. He only had 20 seconds to make a play, and he found a play that gave him a victory point.
We knew it was there in the wings. The only question now is whether he can get that Spice Must Flow and put himself in contention.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it comes down to intrigue cards.
Yeah, draw a card is important.
Where do you draw?
Alan.
Where your folds? Here, I'll take that.
He really is. He really is hoping not to draw into the Spice Must Flows. He wants a new one, not the old ones.
And it is worth noting as far as the time limit, they've all been informed of the rules of how the time limit will work, what the game pacing will be, whether they'll be pushed into those limited turns. This is part of the game state in general. It's not something that's being pushed on the last minute.
Yep.
James is fighting. It's
Yeah.
possible he has a Worm Riders.
All right. Let's keep this up. We can do this.
So I just dispose the card.
So what is Yuka playing there?
It's an intrigue card, and I can't read it.
Where it goes here, right?
It does.
Okay, it's a card that he's playing to acquire another card. It has an option to spend spice to put it on top of your deck. I think he's just playing it to get it out of his hand. I don't know if he has too many intrigue cards and he's afraid of being stolen.
Interesting.
Because I don't think that is going to matter. Yeah, it's called Bypass Protocol. If he's not high on intrigues, then I think it's a mistake to just burn an intrigue like that. I'd rather let the other players wonder what I'm holding. But if he has 4 intrigues, then it's perfectly fine to play it.
Yep.
Water. And then I pay 1 money to get intrigue cards.
Okay.
Because
That's good.
He is using the Baron's Signet Ring to draw another intrigue card.
He adjusted your strength. Timer on, I think. Okay. You're done. June?
He now has 6 troops in the conflict, so it's going to be close.
Thank you.
But the beast,
Pay cost.
June, going to research station, spending 2 water, drawing 3 cards, maybe digging for Kwisatz, maybe just digging for Spice Must Flow.
See, June just dumped another 2 troops in combat. Well, not in
Oh,
combat
he
yet.
will,
in
yeah.
reserve. In reserve.
Oh, because it was his ring? And he has the Spacing Guild Alliance, so he gets 2 troops. Yeah, that's big.
Yeah.
That's good.
I drew one before the.
Yes. Gonna draw 2 more.
Okay. He does commit the troops.
All right.
I mean, that really, it's looking good for June.
Absolutely.
It's not confident. It's looking good for June.
Getting Highliner and Research Station in a late round. Those are 2 super high value board spaces in the late rounds.
And it doesn't look offhand. It doesn't look like there's any easy point pivots coming from any of the alliance tracks at this point. They'd have to. I'm not seeing any clear points coming away. Maybe with a possibly Yuka, but I don't think so. You have to surpass them by 2.
Yeah, if anybody could do it, it might be Yuka because of the Baron getting all those intrigues, but we already saw Guild Authorization played this game, so we know that that's out of the mix.
Pair water to go Hardy Warriors.
All right.
So at this point, we're down to mostly Spice Must Flow, combat, and then of course
James continues
entry cards.
James continues to push. It makes me think like he's probably got his Worm Riders, because like why would you just keep committing to the combat spaces unless you felt like you had a chance?
I mean, does he have any other options? Is there anywhere else for him to put energy at this point? If he can't get a Spice Plus Flow, what else could
Spacing Guild, like if there was a way for him to, he can go to Fold Space and some other intrigue or something to get another, that would be the only thing I can see. But you're right, maybe he's just doing it out of, what else am I supposed to do?
Going to real. Okay.
But I'd like to see Worm Riders come out. 'Cause Worm Riders, those are some exciting parts of the Dune universe. Back to June.
Yeah. And it looks like Alan's currently 1 shy of Spice Must Flow, so that's got to be hard on him because that might be what he needed.
Oh, yeah.
Draw 2. Yuka gets 1.
More card draws from June. He's drawn like 5 cards now in the last 2 plays. Did he draw Kwisatz Haderach?
I'll reveal for whatever persuasion.
Worm Riders.
6.
Goes into the lead. He's at 20. The June's 18. I don't know if it's going to hold. We'll see. If June drew into Kwisatz Haderach, that means he could just like, oh, let me go to another combat space.
And this is what we're seeing, what we talked about. Like, Yuka did walk in with the most, but he committed what he could, and like he walked into the final battle with other players prepped and ready to jump ahead.
Yeah.
Like, it did look like, again, like I wanted that Cinderella story there for a second, but
he's got intrigues. Still a chance. But he's shaking his head, which tells me maybe there's not a chance. But like you were talking about earlier, like, hey, if you don't have a chance to get first, you're still fighting for some pretty good money.
And what are the tiebreakers again in Dune Imperium?
Spice.
Spice.
Then Solari, then water, then troops in garrison.
So currently, I believe James currently has the most spice, followed by June and Yuka tying for that. June and Yuka tying for that. And Alan's coming in shy in that, but
did he actually find the Kwisatz? He did. Wow. Kwisatz Haderach. And where did he use it to play to?
Oh. Did June just jump up?
Yeah, he played Kwisatz and got 4 more strength into the combat. So he went to Hardy Warriors.
This is literally like minute by minute. If you tune in now versus 20 seconds from now versus 20 seconds from then, it is a different game. I mean, the same game, but different sense of who's winning.
Yeah. June looks.
For a different game, you have to wait a year.
June is looking good here, and he's getting a Spice Must Flow.
Thanks.
So he's at 9, and he's winning. He's currently winning this combat, but there's still intrigue cards yet that can decide this.
That is. Anything else on your turn? Your reveal? No. Are you ready to move to combat? All right. Alan, first player marker. James. Yuka.
It sounds like he's playing. Nope, he passes.
All right. Everybody pass. So.
All right. No big combat cards out of James, unfortunately for him.
June?
Yeah.
2 victory points.
So now it comes down to potential endgame points on intrigue cards.
And 3 spice. And Yuka, you get 3 spice. There we go.
Yep.
All right. Everybody, well,
Nobody's showing anything, so I guess nobody had any.
None?
there are
From
4
any of them?
places at this final event.
Aren't there like 6 or
that are
so
very
cards with
important.
points in the game?
So-
How many cards are there in Dune Imperium that have?
Only a
Is
few
everybody
in
happy
the
with
base
that?
game.
Base game.
Yeah.
Everybody understand the
But
board
not a
state?
single
Everybody
one.
good?
Wow.
Yeah, everybody's happy. So, first player. Where's first player? Alan, would you like to reveal any endgame victory cards?
Oh, they're asking.
Oh.
James? No? Yuka? No? All right. What do you have here?
And we do have from June.
Oh, and June has.
June has. It's going further up the track.
All right.
If I have
He had corner of the
How many
market.
do you have left? Spice must follow in your
June
deck.
had corner of the market.
But Alan probably has. I mean, not that it matters at this point,
And
but
you've got 1, I think, James. So you have the
I got
most.
this like
he does have?
He has the most.
He has the most
Also?
spices as well?
Alright, so now-
Because Alan trashed his, perhaps.
Between Yuka and James. Looks like Yuka has 6 spice. James, you've got 8. So
That's crazy. That means
Did you
even
have third
had
place?
James won that last combat, this was still June's game.
thank you for playing it in
Yes.
We would have had June at 11, and we would have had James at
Yeah,
10.
it would have been 11 to 10.
Wow. Not nearly as close as we thought.
Yeah.
All right.
Well done by all the players, but especially June pulling off a decisive victory in the end.
Well, as we wrap up over here, I'm going to have Tom jump in for closing up. This has been a little intense, and good luck.
Alan, second.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you. I want to say thank you to the whole production team, Chris and crew, for running this. Thank you for you sitting here, Paul, this entire time talking about a game you know little about.
I know. I had to figure it out on the fly.
Thank you to all the different commenters over the entire week. And there's a lot more thanks that I would love to do, folks. But here's the deal. We're about to run the award ceremony because we don't got much time. So we're going to be jumping over to that stream in just a few minutes. Great game. Comment on it afterwards. But jump to our other stream where we're going to be talking about, well, handing out the prizes to the winners. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks so much for having me.
I appreciate it. Thank you all for watching. See you in a minute.